Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 241st edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings. Joining me this evening so far, we have Rob Kelly, Matty DG Alanardo, Andy Patterson, and Adam Smido-Smith. Hopefully, a few more bodies will be jumping on as the evening proceeds. We're going to be talking later on about the Superfly, the little guys, Gonzalez, Quadras, Estrada, all that type of stuff. And also Usyk against Marco Huck is next week. Andy will be previewing that for us because he's actually going over to the fight in Berlin. There was minuscule action, really, to be honest, over the weekend, but we are going to cover a few things. An extensive breakdown, as promised, of the next gen card will be coming your way. I haven't seen a single second of it, so I hope some of the guys have. But first of all, we're going to start off over in Mexico. Quite an entertaining scrap, as it turns out, between Carson Jones and Antonio Margarito. I think they're both 39 or 40 years old, two old-timers going in at it. It was quite a fun fight, as sometimes happens. Now, Matty, I believe that you want to say something about this fight first. Ended in the 7th round, I think it was, technical decision. Are you going to fight Margarito's corner? Are you going to have a go at Carson Jones for all his head work? What went down last night?
This is what happened. For the first 4 rounds, it was a good, entertaining back and forth match. But it was actually about 30 seconds into with left in the 4th round. Carson Jones just took over, and he started controlling the fight. He started landing the bigger shots. Margarito was running out of energy quick. There was a dumb point deduction, I think, in the 5th. Both guys fight with their heads down, and Jones got penalized a point. I'm not it, and then after that, Jones just took over. He was landing just bombs, and there were a couple of lucky breaks in there, even where they had to go and cut the tape on the gloves. It's just Jones's corner really shit the bed on that. There might have been chances to score a stoppage if he was able to keep going a few times when they had a break for the gloves. But he just slowly but surely was breaking down Margarito and getting close to having a real signature win. A true journeyman having a signature win. And in the 7th round, so I'm watching the replay in Spanish, and in the 7th round, he's just beating the snot out of Margarito. Just landing great hooks upstairs. Margarito's been bleeding out of his eye since the 2nd round. And after the 7th round, man, it's going to be done. And, I was watching it on YouTube, so I knew how long the fight was going. I knew there was going to be some sort of stoppage in there. And so they're talking to Margarito in his corner. The ref raves it off. Jones is celebrating. I'm thinking, oh, right on. Carson Jones, he took it. That's awesome. So I'm, thinking he got a technical knockout victory over there. And I do firmly believe that Margarito quit in his stool. But no, they said it was stopped because of the cut, which is more to the outside of Margarito's eye, and they went to the scorecards. I had the fight with Carson Jones up 4-2-1 even because of that stupid point deduction. And he didn't even so much as salvage a draw on any of the judges' cards. Point deduction was absolutely mad. The scorecards were stupid, and the fact it wasn't a TKO victory is ridiculous. What the fact is Carson Jones was the first guy to be able to make Margarito quit in his entire career. Okay, the damage he had in his eye in the 2nd Cotto fight, where all the Margarito lovers were screaming at the top of their lungs, "Oh, he could have kept going. He could have kept going." That damage was far more than what he had going last night. And they waved off the fight for it. The fact is, Margarito was looking for a way out. He took it. He in no way deserves a fight with Miguel Cotto. If there's any justice, Carson Jones earned a shot against Miguel Cotto. Cotto's not going to get anything decent in a few months for his last fight of his career. But give Carson Jones a chance. It's absolutely ridiculous because he did something no one else did. He made Margarito quit.
Cotto needs that Margarito fight. He deserves it as well.
There's not enough time, and there's no way that he'll get cleared to fight in the States. It's not going to happen. And, the thing is, you can hate both Margarito and Cotto. It's possible. It could be that Margarito is a cheater and Cotto is such a prima donna, he deserved to get hit with loaded gloves. You can deal with that. You can hate both guys. But the fact is Margarito will not get cleared to fight in the States, especially that close to this fight, and Cotto wanting to call it a day in December.
Take it down to Puerto Rico then. Nice wee rivalry down there, Mexico, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, they could. I don't know.
Andy, you were watching it this morning like the rest of us. Matty was talking about it being a signature win for Carson Jones. Obviously, it would have been nice to have seen him got it. I said he was about 40 at the beginning. I'm just checking his box rec here now. Apparently, he's 31. Friggin' hell, he looks about 31 going on 50. He's had a lot of hard nights, hasn't he, Carson Jones? He just couldn't quite get the win last night, though.
That beard looks like he just came out the cave in Afghanistan. Yeah, but, no, seriously, I wasn't really particularly scoring it, but I had it close on the cards. I didn't think it was a headbutt that caused the cut either. I was going to troll Matty for a wee bit there and just kind of say that Margarito doesn't quit and all that sort of stuff. But what I saw of that last night, actually, he is well off the pace, and you just expect his fucking eye to fucking pop out at some point. It's insane that he's still being allowed to fight. In all seriousness, though, if he's going to keep on fighting, stick around about that level, Carson Jones type guys and stuff, Ramon Alvarez. I see he got a draw there last night. That's the type of that's a level he's at. I mean, but he's beyond shot, and that eye injury alone. I mean, I'm not wanting to kind of tempt fate or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up losing that eye. Once it is over and done with. Carson Jones, if you saw his corner and stuff, they were disgusting with the scorecards as well. I don't think it was wide as what they said. The point deduction was bullshit as well. It's the thing with Carson Jones, he goes on the road sometimes and never seems to deliver. And I'm talking about that Brian Rose rematch. He just never seemed to turn up. I don't know what it is with him. Maybe he just doesn't travel. I know a few people put money on Jones to win that fight last night purely based on the fact they felt that Margarito was shot. And all intents and purposes, they've been fucking jobbed there last night because it did look like that Margarito did quit. I didn't recall seeing the doctor stop that fight or investigate or tell the referee to stop the fight. It looked like the referee was standing in front of Margarito. His corner said something to him or said something to the referee and he just waved it off. So it should have been a TKO to Carson Jones, and then somehow it's been turned into a technical decision based off the cut. What can you do? Down in Mexico.
Down in Mexico, Rob's not a lot you can do. We know Carson isn't afraid to travel. Just looking down the old box rec here, trying to remember some of his better days. Obviously took the unbeaten record of Tyrone Brunson, who was being touted as a prospect back in the day. Zaid Uwale, who was a decent fighter, not great. Ricardo Williams Jr. never really delivered. But Carson, obviously, we saw him pushing Kell Brook all the way. We saw him knocking out Ben Hall last time. He knocked out Brian Rose, as Andy said. He's a decent fighter, isn't he? You would have liked to have seen him got this one.
Good guy, tough guy, but there's a lot you can do in Mexico. I've been over there before. But no, I like Carson Jones, man. He's from Oklahoma. Usyk used to spar him a lot. Actually, Usyk Fagan came to the ring with him when he fought against. I think he was in his corner the two again for the two Brook fights. Tough guy, like he comes to fight. I think the first 4 rounds were kind of even. I was looking at the Mexican scorecard on the commentary. It was brilliant watching it. The commentator was doing like this kind of rapper's ad lib every time a punch was landed, because one guy was like Margarito, and then the other guy was like hey every time a punch was landed. It was brilliant.
I thought we were listening to your Saul Canelo Alvarez rapping song, Rob. That's available on YouTube.
That's for the 2 weeks time. But no, what I was going to say was really entertaining fight for 4 rounds. I think one of the guys made a good point there earlier about Jones's glove, the tape on his gloves. They must have taped him up with masking tape, man. They came off about 7 times, like, and again,
a joke, wasn't it?
It was giving Margarito a breather every time. He was loving it. Like, I think it was a clash of heads. It was a bit reckless from Jones in the second round to cause the cut. But Margarito, like, it was kind of sad watching him last night, even though it was an entertaining fight. Like, no snap on the punches. He's game, like, but and I'd watch him and Cotto again, but he's shot, like, and his pass is best, and he's going to get hurt, isn't he? So it was a pity, and I didn't think Jones was behind on the cards. I thought maybe even with the point deduction, at worst you can give it was a draw for him, like, you know what I mean? At worst, like, he was controlling the fight, controlling the pace of the fight, making the fight, forcing it, and he was taking over. He was definitely going to take over in the second half of the fight, whether you could stop Margarito or not. Like, it was a tough call on Carson Jones on the road for sure.
Smido, Margarito still has plenty of heart, plenty of fitness, you would think, to a certain degree, but time is the subtle thief of youth, and at 39 and all these ring wars behind him, the guy who went toe-to-toe and pumping out 1,000-odd punches against Paul Williams seems a long time in the past. Do you watch this like me, Smido, and think, this guy shouldn't be taking these punches? I'm genuinely concerned about his health?
Yeah, I am concerned about yourself. I've got the picture on the wall there from the second fight, Cotto Margarito. It just last night to me, it just looked like two old slow men, smacking each other in the center of the ring. It was quite entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but should we be still seeing Margarito in the ring? Probably not. We thought that since it's throughout this comeback, to be honest, and it was always I say always, and it will end in tears, and it will probably end up with him damaging his eyes even more than what they already are, and which is serious. He's got serious damage to his eyes, and there was a little bit more damage done last night. I watched the Mexican commentary as Rob alluded to, and I like the commentator who every time there was a punch landed by Margarito going, "Hey, hey!" Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. The stoppage, I'm as confused as anyone really with it, or the end of the fight. Yeah, it was on his stool, and the incident that caused the cut was not penalised or recognised by the ref at the time. Although Jones did get a point off later in the fight for use of head, probably rightly so. But yeah, very very confusing. And when they stopped it, obviously I'm not fluent in Spanish. I didn't know what was going on, and I thought, oh, great, Carson Jones has got a win that he deserved. But clearly they were hell bent on making sure that Margarito got out of the place alive and with a win, and that's what they ended up doing. I didn't really score it, but I felt the first 4 or 5 rounds were reasonably close, maybe the first 4, and then Jones came on really, didn't he? In the 5, 6, 7 were kind of his rounds, and obviously that's when he did his most damage. But yeah, they're both past the best, and I was watching it really thinking, whatever the result was last night, the both Carson Jones is likely to get some more work over here, on the back of that. We've alluded to, the kind of image that he doesn't travel well, but he has beat Brian Jones. He did beat that Ben, whatever his name was, in the last fight when he was in England. So he could still be given for fodder again, Carson Jones, to be fair. Whatever they're going to do with Margarito, I don't know. But, I mean, how he's got a win there it was scandalous, really, to be honest. But I just think as soon as he goes to America, Margarito, if he's licensed to do so, as soon as he goes there, he will get beat and he will get stopped and he will get damaged to the face again.
A couple more of guests have jumped on the line since we started, including Jack Rathbone from the Mirror. Great to have Jack on the call. Adam Smith summed it up there as 2 old, slow men going to war. Jack, would you disagree with that, or is that exactly what happened? I think you're just on mute there, Jack. The curse of the mute button.
Yeah. Well, Steve, there was no... Are you there? Go on, Jack.
All right. Yeah, no, I'd echo what Adam said. It was like slow motion at times, wasn't it? I mean, Margarito was the only one of the two who was really looking to jab. So it was actually quite entertaining, wasn't it, from the start, in terms of like they were throwing everything at each other. But I think, like Adam said, from round 5 onwards, all the big shots were landing from Jones, weren't they? So it's one of those where he's really hard done by, isn't he? Because he would have got the stoppage, I think, down the stretch. I mean, Mexican commentary were alluding to Margarito. He was gassed, wasn't he? He was mouth was wide open from round 5, 6 onwards. Every time the ref stopped him and separated him, yeah, he was sort of mouth open. And yeah, I mean, he's got a gift, isn't he?
Would you like to see Margarito hang them up now, Jack?
Yeah, I would like to see him hang him up. I mean, the first fight with Cotto is probably one of the first fights that got me into boxing. So, I mean, despite all the antics with the plaster, it was one of the fighters I enjoyed watching at the start. I mean, the third fight with Cotto, I'm sure it's going to be on the table. But I mean, even if you hate both fighters, do you really want to see that? But I think, yeah, it's got to be time.
Maybe time to hang them up, says Jack. Don't you hang up anytime quickly. You can stay on the call for as long as you want. I'm just going to bring in Adam Smith again. What were you going to say, Smith?
Going to say there was hardly any punches actually missed last night. There was non-parried. There was no footwork. There was no bobbing and weaving. There was just like I said at the start, really, just 2 slow old idiots battering each other. It did have a sense of entertainment, but skill level was minute.
A good old-fashioned tear-up. Gabe Lewis, who's jumped on with us. Gabe, did you enjoy the Carson Jones-Margarito fight?
I didn't. I'll be the guy that I've seen quite a few people, a fair amount of people online that said that they thought it was entertaining. I thought it looked like shit. It just it wasn't there. Now, if you had normal, classic Margarito like we remember him, then it would have always been an entertaining fight, no matter what happened. But it's not fun to watch him. I mean, even if you don't like the guy, which I'll never be a person that claims to be a fan of Margarito for any reason. But you have to admit that he's always been in entertaining fights, and he's always been a crowd-pleasing kind of guy. But even if you hate him and you love to see him get his ass whipped, that wasn't even fun last night. I mean, it looked sad, to be honest. Seeing a guy like that who's got such a high motor, always running and gunning, always throwing tons of punches, just to look so. He reminded me of Alfredo Angulo a couple years back after he took the long layoff, when he was stuck like in a detention center, and then he started working with Virgil Hunter. He was so slow and just out of it. Looked like he was lost. Margarito wasn't quite that bad, but I mean, when you compare what he used to look like to last night, I don't care to see the guy fight again. I wouldn't even want to see Cotto just beat the shit out of him for 12 rounds. It wouldn't do anything for me at all. I thought Carson Jones had the fight, and then that whole thing was just, as you've already mentioned, everyone else has already mentioned, it's kind of a mess. But no, I wouldn't be one that would put in the enjoyed category at all.
I actually agree with Gabe there. Whenever I saw Margarito's haircut, he was reminding me of Alfredo Angulo as well, and the way he was taking the shots. He is becoming quite reminiscent of the great Alfredo. Right,
even his cornermen had that silly haircut as well last night.
They're all enjoying it. I tell you who's enjoying it as well. What about Carson Jones' cornerman, Sean Gibbons, the knucklehead? He was loving the night away last night in Mexico, I'm sure, Andy.
Oh, aye, definitely on the pure stuff there. He was even getting last week. He was getting that wee kind of shoulder movement, and he was chewing fucking heavily on that chewing gum. Obviously, trying to stop for chewing his face off. So clearly on the good stuff again there last night. Be plucking bucket loads down there for him. El Chapo.
El Chapo, indeed. Andy, while you're unmuted, I don't know if you saw anything of the card on Friday night. I'll go through a couple of the results quickly. The next gen, I haven't seen a single second of it, to be honest. Wins for Jake Ball, Ted Cheeseman, Joe Cordina, Conor Benn got a win over 4-0 Kane Baker, Felix Cash, Joshua Boatsi, Lawrence Okoli. Did you see anything of it, Andy?
I did a wee bit. I got a line on the TV for a change Friday night. To be honest, I didn't really kind of like give my full attention to it. The only one I was really interested in watching was Joshua Boatsi. I said that at the time when he was going through the Olympics at Rio, and that I really liked to look at him, and I like to look at him as a pro as well. Just some of the punches he throws. I think he looks, natural in when he throws his punches. He's no kind of stuck in the amateur style, shall we say. So I think he might make a decent pro. Definitely got the ability to win a British title, most definite. Maybe even a European. He's a light heavyweight, and Boxrec have got musted as 5'9.5" or something. That's tiny for a light heavyweight, height wise. But other than that, mate, I didn't watch. I mean, obviously we've got the man of all knowledge, standing ringside talking bullshit, Eddie Hearn. I don't know if anybody caught his comment, but that Lawrence Okoli guy the guy who took him a distance and that. Eddie Hearn piped up saying he would go behind the scenes and he wanted to offer him a bonus for getting Okoli the 6 rounds. So interesting to know if he actually went and done that, actually. Or if he's just talking fucking bullshit as he usually does. That's all I can give you, man. I know, that Ted Cheeseman who gets a big up off one of our listeners and that. I didn't watch him. I'm not Okoli. I'm not really sold on. As I say, only watched just to watch Boatsi. Conor Benn smashed out a guy. I would say it's probably roughly about the same level with him. So I think he needs a wee step up in class. I think Conor Benn, because I'm not kind of really again, impressed with what I see with him. And Cardina, again, he's blown out these guys. I mean, I know Cardina's getting the big build up, ex-amateur and all that stuff, but he needs better opponents than what he's been fighting. There's absolutely 0 point fighting guys at at that level. I mean, you're talking about a guy here who's Commonwealth bronze medalist, I think, and he's even been at the semis, I think, or maybe the quarterfinals at the Worlds against like Conceição for Brazil and that, and Pat McCormick. He's faced was it that guy Alvarez for Cuba and that. I mean, he's wasting his time fighting this shite that he's fighting now. He's 25-year-old. He needs pushed on if he's going to be anything. But again, he's under Tony Sims, so I don't know what the deal is there. But I didn't rate him as a trainer at all. So we'll wait and see. But again, if you're going to have a card like that, don't stick it on regular Sky. I was just going to stick that on my complaint list for going to Sky to complain when my subscription ends in October. So as I say, it wasn't great, and the Baines just walked in here, so I'll no bother using some swear language but it was absolutely fucking awful.
Smido, Andy mentioned there, I'm not saying that everybody needs to go the Lomachenko route and be fighting for world titles or British titles or whatever in their second fight, but he makes a point about Cordina. We're hearing now that Joe Joyce is supposed to be fighting Ian Lewison on his debut. They were talking about Dave Allen. Do you think guys like Cordina, they've been done a disservice? He's 25, as Andy said, he's been fighting these excellent levels of opposition in the amateurs. He really needs to fight someone a level or two above what he is straight away.
I didn't watch a single second of it, to be honest, Steve. I don't really care at this stage for any of them. I want to see him in better fights and more competitive fights. I don't know the difference between Okoli and Buatsi. I don't know the difference between them, even if they walked in my front room. I don't know who Cordina is. I don't even know what weight he's at. I looked at when the odds came out the other day. I think there was four main fights. The odds were 1 to 200, 1 to 200, 1 to 100, and 1 to 25. That's all I needed to know about the show. I think the Next Gen series is an absolute abomination, and I don't know why. I just think it's a con. I just think that Sky customers, boxing fans, are just being absolutely conned. I don't know how they're managing to get away with substituting Saturday night fight night cards, where we've seen the likes of Anthony Crolla and Ricky Burns in world title fights, as well as Tony Bellew. There'll probably be others. We've now substituted that for Friday night Next Gen shows at York Hall and at the Newcastle Arena. So anything now above Europe, what Eddie's I was going to say European level, but what Eddie's managed to do is remove European level from his remit. So anything that is for an apparent world title, whether that be regular, super, or fucking bronze, anything at that level is now on pay-per-view. So it's a sorry time to be a Sky Sports subscriber and a boxing fan, as Andy will vouch for.
I asked on Twitter on Friday night, actually, I think you maybe even responded to this, actually. How long do you give this series to last on Sky? I mean, it's just like, it seems to be like they're trying to kind of like get filler, because they've got these fighters. Well, he's got a stable of fighters that's not really all that great. Right? He's not fucking pushing them on. He's got no other dates. Well, he has got dates, but he's not filling them up with the fights we want to see. He's to stick everything on pay-per-view. It's like a wee bit like prize fighter, at some point it's going to outlive its usefulness. Again, if all it takes is for a couple of these guys to take some L's, and that whole series goes up in smoke. So I'm going to get 12 to 18 months before it decides to kind of fold.
But that's 12 to 18 months too long. Mm-hmm. This stuff should not be taking updates on Sky. We can put up with one or two fights on a 9-fight card that are at this level. They don't need to be on Sky Sports at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, or in let's say prime time slot on a Friday night. These guys should be on the
Fight Pass.
Well, yeah, we've been there before. Fight Pass is dead in terms of broadcasting fights. These lots should be on the Crolla and Burns card, for example, should have maybe 2 of these fights, Okoli and the other one, and then the next one coming up in Liverpool should have Cordina and the other one. That's how it should be done, and that's how it's traditionally been done. But what we're having to put up with now is all this crap against crap opponents, and I know it's part of the game and part of the development, but Steve said the other side of the argument, these are good kids that should be in with better anyway, but forget that. It's part of the game to have 6, 8, 10 rounders. We know that, and I know that it's going to have to go on, but not all on one night and not all on Sky, live on Sky Sports on a Friday night. I just think it's disgraceful. I think what you will notice is Sky Sports do this season have been doing the football on a Friday night. I think they probably did it last season as well. Obviously, we're on an international break, so they've tried to take advantage. Oh, well, the football crowd haven't got anything to watch this weekend. I don't think there was any cricket on, for example, the T20. There's obviously no football on, so they're trying to just tap into that market with with some apparently star amateurs and an Olympic medalist just fighting idiots. It's not good enough.
Andy, just before we move on to the other guys, Smido was saying he couldn't tell between Buatsi and Okoli. Am I right in saying Buatsi is the one who's very short for the weight, like Dwight Mohamed Quarry, and Okoli is a bit like Deontay Wilder with a club foot? He has that kind of movement.
He's actually he's actually as floppy as Wilder is. As I says, the Buatsi fight is on YouTube. And that if you look at him, okay, it went 5 rounds. The guy that he fought was hard as fucking hell. I was actually shouting for the fight to be stopped at one point because he was just taking a licking, and he wouldn't go down, eh? But as I say, if you look at Buatsi throwing punches, I just think he looks the more natural fighter. He kind of shuffles forward a wee bit, so a wee bit kind of maybe work done with the foot movement needed, and maybe a wee bit extra with the head movement. But as a fight machine coming forward, I think he looks really good. If you just can couple that wee bit, add a wee bit of defence in there, and I think we've really got a guy we can maybe kind of watch here, and listen to him kind of like post fight and that as well. As I don't think he's really into the hype and that. He seems to be kind of like down to earth. I'm not going to say stay humble and all that sort of shite and that, but he looks like he's a guy that's actually in it to win it. So hopefully he's moved along right in that, and Eddie doesn't take the piss.
Jack, I don't know if you want to add anything positive. We're shitting on the fight and 2 of us haven't even seen anything. Overall, next gen, is there anything you can see? Anyone who came out of it the best, you think, who gave a good display and can be one for the future? Maybe a name that the guys might not have mentioned?
Well, not necessarily on the performances on the night, but during the Okoli fight, you saw Chamberlain in the crowd sort of acting like he wasn't impressed at all. And I don't know, I'd said it. He's not so much interested in Okoli and all the others. So if somebody is willing to watch boxing every week isn't interested in Okoli, why not fast track the build up to a potential, it's basically a derby, isn't it? Okoli and Chamberlain, get those 2 in the ring first part of next year, and whoever wins that has actually got a legitimate springboard into sort of British level and so forth. I agree. I think it's needless sort of build up to sort of British level. All of them need to be fast tracked, and I think they will be. Buatsi's people, they've admitted as much. They're not interested in sort of treading water for a couple of years. So I do think this will only last sort of 18 months, as it's already been said.
Chamberlain, the kid that went in with oh fuck, what's his name? That
Camacho.
Yeah, that's it, Camacho. That was a really good fight. I remember that.
Yeah, really good fight. He popped his shoulder, didn't he? Like first couple of rounds, was it? And came through it. I mean, he looks like he's got a bit of bottle to him. Not so much a puncher, but yeah, I mean, he's been out sparring with Usyk, hasn't he? And I think he's sparred Wilder before as well. So, I mean, he's gone about his business the right way. If he's not going to get like the big experience in his professional career, like in the ring, like he's willing to travel and go and get top quality sparring. So, I mean, I think Okoli is actually, he realizes that Chamberlain is somebody that maybe he needs to go through. Both of them need to go through each other just to sort of really kick on and get that sort of crossover appeal to the casual fan.
Talking about the crossover appeal to the casual fan, Jack, what about Conor Benn? Andy said maybe a step up in class, but I think there's a reason. In the harsh truth is, from what I've seen of Ben, there's a reason why he's not being stepped up in class.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where there's a reason why he's being pushed by it, and we all know it's the name appeal. But I'm yet to see too much that suggests he can go really far in his career. But I mean, he is fun. He's fun to watch. I mean, he's going to throw a lot of shots. So there is that. It's just we don't need to wait until he's well matched. I think we may as well see whether he sinks or swim, because he is an entertaining fighter. It's just there's not much hope of going onto world level, but he can be in some really fun fights, I think, at domestic level.
Yeah, I think Jack makes a good point there. That's the way I look at it. Sky can't have their cake and eat it. They want to plug off the Ben name as much as they can and try and make as much money as they can while holding him back against completely substandard opposition. It's about time to drop the money-making scheme, put him in against someone who's going to slug with him, and let's just enjoy him for what he is.
Nah, they're not going to do that after that, like, because Eddie's after the pound note, like, so he's going to build him, and like, I've no interest. If I'm not watching Buglioni on a Saturday night, I'm definitely not watching Conor Benn on a Friday night. Like, I've no interest in seeing fellas at British level getting moved along against journeymen on TV. It's just not. It's not interesting to me. I want to see big fights. I want to see quality matchups, and I want to see evenly matched fights. Like, there's no need for us to be seeing these fights on TV. Put them on a highlight show or something, or put them on the undercard of a decent fight. Like, I like a Coley, I like Boazzi, but like Eddie, you know what Eddie's doing? Like, he's looking for table flipper overs. He's looking for, let's do it right now, you fucking rats. That's what he's looking for. Like, and if you're not that, he's just gonna farm you out until he sees an opportunity to cash you out, and that's it.
Rob, are you trying to say you didn't see a single second of this?
Absolutely.
Good man. Right, Matty, I'm not going to even insult your intelligence and ask you about the next gen. I'm going to ask you a question that we had in from Brian G on Twitter instead, if you're okay with that. Brian G says, I've watched some belters tonight. This was a while back. He watched some fights. He watched Tito against Hopkins. He watched Gatti against Ward 1. And then he moved on to Marquez against Vasquez. Not the best, but a good debate. Now, Matty, let's hear from you. Brian says, can you ask the panel, starting with you, their top 3 favourite fights ever? Top 3 favourite fights ever, Matty.
My top 3 favorite fights ever. This is kind of like, your favorite songs, and it's one of those things that can change depending on where your memory's at in the day. But generally speaking, I would say my favorite fights of all time, and usually they're fights that I watched live, but 2 of these actually aren't. Obviously, one I wasn't even born. But one of them would be George Foreman against Ron Lyle.
Good pick.
Yeah. Another one would be the first fight between Marquez and Juan Diaz. That was just pure entertainment, and incredible skill. And my favorite fight that I like to watch of all time and go back to is Ocelano Freitas against Jorge Barrios.
Oh, great fight.
Yeah, Barrios wiping the blood off his face on the ref's shirt, and then Freitas landing that right hand right on the freaking bell before, I think it was the last round. I mean, it was just such a fun fight. Great shifts in momentum.
Yeah, if nobody who's listening has seen that fight, Ocelano Freitas against Jorge Barrios, and Argentina against Brazil, derby as well, Matty, to boot.
So he ended up in jail, Freitas.
But Barrios didn't he?
Was it Barrios? Sorry, Barrios.
Didn't he kill his family in a car crash or something?
He knocked out that undefeated Brazilian guy, Oliveira, I think was his name, at 154 pounds. And he came back for one fight, and Freitas just beat the crap out of him.
Well, I'll go to all the panel on this. I think this is a good question. Andy, I'm going to throw in a couple. I'm terrible at these type of things. I'm going to say Barrera Morales 1 is definitely one of my favourites. And one that Brian mentioned as well, Vasquez Marquez 1 was an absolutely superb fight. And also Katsidis Casamayor, I'll throw that in. What about you, Andy? Try and limit it to 3 if you can.
Yeah, 3. Right, okay. Thriller Manila is always on that list. I liked Zarate against Gomez, Wilfredo Gomez against Carlos Zarata. 2 undefeated fighters, Mexico against Puerto Rico. I think it was something crazy. It was like, I think they were 86-0 with 85 knockouts between them or something. It was like something crazy like that, and it was just pure violence. It was just absolute chaos in Puerto Rico. And I'll probably go with. It's a toss-up between the St. Valentine's Day Massacre or Floyd Patterson knocking out Ingemar Johansson. Just seeing that foot twitching there like that was something special.
Excellent stuff, Andy. Excellent stuff. Right, Gabe, I know that you're only just back, so I'll come to Smido first. But just to let you know, Gabe, that we're talking about our top three favourite fights of all time. So maybe you can have a quick think there. Smido, what about you? Is the Cobra involved in one of these?
Fuck, here we go.
Steve, I'm going to try and do this using imagery around my spare room. Hopefully the light will shine. That's in my top 3. So that's Carl Froch beating Jermaine Taylor in his first defence of the WBC super middleweight title. Number 1 is definitely this fight here. If we can see the fight poster from Corrales versus Castillo. And the one that I saw live, the best fight I've ever seen live, was Luke Campbell against that Brazil. That was ridiculous. I think there was about 7 knockdowns, points off all over the shot. They would be.
Is that no Coyle you're talking about? Coyle.
Tommy Coyle, no? Didn't Campbell dissect?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, Tommy Coyle. Yeah, sorry, Tommy Coyle against Brazil. Yeah, Campbell obviously went on to fight him a couple of years later. Yeah, Tommy Coyle against Brazil was ridiculous. That's the most entertaining fight I've ever seen live. And a shout out for another left field one that I often go and watch was Angulo against Kirkland. I found that superbly entertaining, and the commentary was very good in that fight.
Brilliant first round, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, in the first round, the commentator says, I think it's Lampley, he says Kirkland's down and he's up at virtually nothing, which was correct. Yeah, but as soon as he hit the floor, he got straight back up. That was a really entertaining fight. There's my 3.
Excellent stuff, Smido. Thanks for that. Makesh, our friend, has jumped in on Twitter. He's thrown in Matthew Saad Mohammed versus Marvin Johnson too. Don't think I've actually seen that one, so I must go ahead and watch it. Or another one that I'd throw in, Rob, Bernard Dunn, Ricardo Cordoba. Best fight I was ever at live. That's got to go in my top 3. An absolutely superb night. What about you?
Yeah, that was a fantastic one for Irish boxing. I don't know how Bernard got through that one, in fairness. Hold on, I just let the dog in here. Come on. Yeah, no, I've got one that, because everything that comes from boxing for me comes from my dad, so we've always like pick against each other. So I remember being a kid, like, and being sure that Meldrick Taylor was going to blitz Chavez, like, and he was telling me that Chavez was going to walk him down and beat him up, like. So we were when we seen that fight, like, we had to get a copy of it, like, we couldn't see it live. We just saw the report coming through, because back, before the internet and all that, like, so we got a video of it, like. So that was an unbelievable fight, like, Taylor blitzing him early and then obviously losing there. I read an interesting thing in Ring recently where Taylor is kind of hinting that he thought that Chavez gloves were loaded, Mexican style. So then Corrales and Castillo, obviously, like, Diego Corrales, like, what can you say about him in that fight? Like, when Goose, so you got to get inside on him now. I love that moment.
In his denim jacket.
Yeah, he just comes out and blasts him with the left hook, and then all of a sudden you see Castillo's head rocked, and then it's just the unbelievable happening, like, right in front of your eyes. Oh, an absolutely thrilling fight, like. And then the last one is a kind of a toss-up, because there's so many over the years, like Leonard Hagler and all that I lived through, but, like, just in terms of favorite fights, like Gomez and Arthur, I absolutely loved that fight. Like, the performance from Gomez that night was unbelievable, and just a biased mention for Andy Lee versus John Jackson when he hit him with that dream left hook coming off the ropes. Absolutely unbelievable moment. Like, so, yeah, there are a couple of personal favorites for me. But I've got so many, like, B-Hop fights, and, the list is endless going back in the day to Robinson and all that. Like, I can't really pick 3, but just off the top of the head, those are personal favorites. Like.
You could talk about this all night, actually, no, honestly, because I've got a whole list of fucking favourite fights.
Yeah. For
like,
different reasons and
Tiger,
all that.
remember Tony Tiger Lopez against Rocky Lockridge? Jesus Christ, Rocky was a favourite of mine back in the day as well.
Did you ever see that footage of Rocky Lockridge recently, like when he's like 50? He's dead since, isn't he, Rocky Lockridge?
I think he had a stroke. I'm not sure if he's dead or not, but I know he had a stroke.
Well, he's outside some supermarket in like a pink, and some guys puts it up to him in his 20s, and they're going, "Don't do it, champ! Don't do it, champ!" And boom, just falls the guy.
Jab right hand, guys, fucking slept within 2 seconds.
Comatose before he hit the ground. It was unbelievable.
I think I did see that one. One fight as well that Rob mentioned there, Gomez against Arthur, absolutely fantastic fight, and one you can find on Punches from the Past, Andy, over on the Facebook page. Scroll down, there it is.
There it is. I think we've done about 10 episodes of that. We're still trying to get the boys together to try and get a second series sorted out. But that was one that was a great fight. See, the atmosphere that night was absolutely tremendous.
Right, Jack, do you have 3 for us?
Yeah, just big shout out to Kurt Ward. This question was put out, I think, a few years ago on the pod, and he put one out there which is right up there on my list. Carl Thompson against Ezra Sellers. 4 rounds of just absolute mayhem, wasn't it? So yeah, that's one of the best, like, domestic fights I think I've ever seen. Obviously you got Corrales Castillo. I think earlier this year, you go Carles against Rungvisai. I know we're going to talk about that later on, but that was a cracker in the last year or two. Cotto Margarito won. Brilliant.
Great stuff. And one that Jack mentioned there as well. Another one, Carl Thompson against Ezra Sellers. I think, didn't we do that for punches from the past as well, Andy? Thompson against Sellers. I think we did, didn't we? I'm pretty sure that we did. Right, Gabe, what about you? Have you got 3 for us?
It definitely was that one, mate. I'm sure we did that one. Was that one? But definitely Carl Thompson was involved somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was the Sellers fight, yeah. Go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah, I do have a few. One of my favorites is Dwight Cowie and Evander Holyfield 1.
Ooh.
That was a fucking brutal fight. Love it. Still love it to this day. I just remember I wasn't around to see it actually go down, but I remember the first time I saw the fight, I was just enthralled with it. I mean, I knew who Holyfield was, and I'd heard of Cowie. I'd seen a few of his fights here and there, but they were later fights of his career. So it actually inspired me to go back and pick up some more of his earlier fights, and the guy was just a monster, just a little chainsaw, just great watch. If you haven't seen that fight, it may be the greatest cruiserweight fight of all time. I don't know one that I'd personally put higher than that. Another one with Holyfield. I was never a big Holyfield fan, but I love a lot of his fights. So and you got me on the right day. So I've got a couple of Holyfields. Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe 1. I enjoyed that fight,
especially afterwards, Gabe, when it kicked off in the ring.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you were around to see that, it was good stuff. I remember just the whole thing was a big spectacle, but it was a great fight. You know, really Holyfield, despite me saying just now that I wasn't like the biggest fan, I really enjoyed a lot of his fights. He's just not one of those guys that comes to mind as one of my absolute favorites. But I'd be hard pressed to find somebody that I actually could name had more fights that I really just enjoyed watching. The guy was great. Another one is Marco Barrero and Prince Nassim. That was a great fight. If you weren't a fan of the Prince, I guess. If you were a fan of the Prince, maybe you didn't like that one so much. Of course, you can't mention Barrero without Morales.
What was that, Matty?
Hamed against Kevin Kelly. If you want a fucking 4-round fight, oh my god.
Yeah, Gabe, actually, Lee at Numb Tapestry on Twitter has just tweeted us with that one. Naz versus Kevin Kelly. That's the fight that got me hooked on boxing, he says, Gabe.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, if you were a fan of boxing, you love the Prince. He was great to watch. Even for someone like me who would say I wasn't a big fan of his, I loved to watch him fight, though, and then it just made it all the better for me being a huge Barrera fan. I mean, if you Seb knows all about this, but I will argue with anyone any day of the week and all 24 hours of the day that Barrera is the best of the three amigos. And I'll sit there and argue with you all day about it. Barrera is definitely my favorite Mexican fighter of all time. And then I have one more. I'm gonna go with 4. I know we had 3, but I'm gonna go with 4. And I think the one I'm looking for was Julien Lorcy, the French fighter, and I believe it was a guy named Castillo 1. I haven't watched that fight in a number of years, but I remember that being a great fight. Anyone seen that one?
Who's that? Julien Lorcy?
Yeah.
Who was it against?
Maybe it was.
Trying to think of who he fought. Didn't he fight Juan Diaz at one point?
Yeah, he did. He I think he won a European title, and I think he may have had.
I've seen this guy. He's a French boy.
Yeah.
Oh, who the fuck was it he fought that I remember seeing? Was it Mendy? Might be Mendy.
Yeah.
Jean Baptiste, I think.
Yeah. Jean Batista Mendy or something along that lines. But that may have been the fight. I can't remember. I'm having a hard time recalling who he fought. All I remember was watching several of his fights. I hadn't seen much of this guy before. He's really kind of under the radar, even for a lot of big time fans. But there was one fight, and I believe I think it was Alfredo Castillo. I can't remember the opponent that he was fighting, but he had a really, 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 really great fight. And this has been not really all that long ago. I don't even remember what year it was when that fight went down. Kind of a under the radar one.
Yeah, we've had Jake MFC 1990s throwing in on Twitter, Michael Carbajal against Humberto Gonzalez. Also, Kurt has a list. I'm just looking through it now. William Caveman Lee against John LaCicero from 1981. I remember seeing that one myself. That's a real fun fight. Ray Mercer, Burt Cooper, Marvin Johnson against Muhammad. That was the one that McKetch mentioned. Richie Cates against Muhammad. Who else have we got? Rene Ganoy against Fateh Onekiki from 2006. Andy, I've never seen that one.
What was the name of that one again, mate?
Rene Ganoy against Fateh Onekiki.
I can't remember seeing that one either, mate. The other one that well, he's fighting next week actually. Rungvieze against Yoto Sato, Libero Solis against I think it was Coco Eto, or no, it was Kohei Kono. Really good fight. I mean, I tell you, domestically, one fight I really did enjoy actually was Kevin Mitchell against John Murray.
Yeah, that was a good scrap. Macklin against Moore as well.
Yep, that one as well.
I've got a picture of Murray and Mitchell on my wall as well.
Michael Katsidis, Zar Amensat.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Didn't Amensat end up with brain bleed or something after that?
They're still fighting anyway. I noticed that. They're still fighting.
I'll tell you one for if you just want a guy like to unexpectedly just see him become a total dog when there's something on the line. Pernell Whitaker against Hurtado from 1997.
Oh, is that the one when the referee knocked him out through the ropes?
Yeah, he threw him through the ring, didn't
he? At welterweight, man. And I mean, Whitaker couldn't punch for shit above 135, really. But I mean, he'd been down a couple times. I mean, he was old and he just decided to stand in there and he just slugged it out and ultimately just got him against the ropes and beat the shit out of him.
That was Arthur McCartney Jr. again. He should have really dived in before that happened. Actually, because the guy was out here.
Gabe's thrown one in on our chat. Jorge Arce against Hussein. That's a great fight. Hussein, so good they named him twice.
Yeah, that was. I remember seeing that one and just being enthralled with it. I've spent a lot of time looking for more Hussein fights just to see what else he had. But I've got the first one, the rematch with Arce, which it wasn't even close to the first. But I've never seen too many of his other fights. I can't seem to find anybody that's got any of them. So if you got them, hook it up. Share me a link.
Yeah, Hussein was a fun fighter. I had a few on DVD back in the day, but I've got rid of them now. Right, let's see. Got a few more questions. We could go on all night with that one. Smido, let me just hit you with a question here from Geordie McDonough, just to move things back up to date. Depressingly so, you might say. If Callum Smith doesn't win the Super Series, are Eddie's future pay-per-view events non-existent, says Geordie. He says, AJ is nearly out of contract. The Super Series finishes in April and May. Bellew's finished, he says. None of his other guys, even a top 5 in their division. There's big pressure on Callum Smith here.
Well, I don't know if there is pressure on Callum Smith, because if there was pressure from Callum Smith, he would have already fought for a world title in my eyes. If there was pressure from Eddie Hearn, clearly Eddie's let Callum and Tesco Joe make the decisions there. They've turned down DeGale, they've turned down Durrell, and now they're in the Super Series. So I don't think Callum Smith would be at the top of the list for future pay-per-view stars. We've answered this question before, really, or my answer to this question is something that I've said before in terms of Eddie can make a pay-per-view card whenever he wants. That's just the nature of the game now. We won't support it. We will all think it's shit, but he's got the likes of McDonnell, Yafai, Selby's on the periphery, although they may have fell out. DeGale's on the periphery, although they may have fell out. Bellew, and any other champions that he might be able to to create. Crawler Burns, the winner of that, looks likely to going on to fight for a world title. If they were to win that, then they would be able to make one of his stacked pay-per-views. Let's call it that. Like the Bellew Cleverly pay-per-view. Although the main event was terrible, that event was sold on on it being a stacked card with 2 or 3 world titles on there. I can't really remember what they were.
Scott Quigg against some Japanese guy that was absolute shit, I think.
Yeah, I think McDonald was on there as well, maybe. Is it with the size of his stable and the gullibility of his paymasters at Sky and the fans sitting at home, or the casuals sitting at home, he has the ability to make a pay-per-view card at the drop of a hat. In terms of stars, away from Joshua, yes, he is struggling. Kell Brook is, his face is falling to pieces. Callum Smith. Callum Smith's going to be on the back burner just because he's gone into a tournament that Eddie's not really supporting in terms of broadcasting. The standout star away from Joshua is difficult to identify or predict at this stage. And as I've said time and again, in this country, it is Anthony Joshua number 1, and everything else and everyone else number 2.
We were saying earlier, Smido, that Usyk against Huck, the fight Andy's going to, is the first Super Series fight that's to take place. Yet we haven't got any UK TV coverage announced. I believe the Soyerlands, as I call them, are going to be announcing it this week. I mean, they need to get a move on, Smido. Who do you think is going to be in prime position to take these rights, and will they do a fight-by-fight basis?
I think it was Andy who called it last week. They'll end up going fight by fight. They want to go as a whole package. People like Sky have not got the appetite or the ability in terms of slots to take that. I know he's got no fighters involved, but this is something that really should be on Box Nation, and that's coming from a paid up subscriber. This is perfect for Box Nation. They have numerous blank weeks when it's not a Frank show. They do great on the international, as we know, the American, should I say, the middle of the night stuff. And this tournament would be perfect for Frank's Box Nation. I don't know. I think the first couple of ones, Huck and Usyk could easily go untelevised in this country, and then I think they'll end up doing some sort of panic streaming service, whether that be pay-per-view. So the first couple of ones could go unscreened in England, and then they'll have to do a panic fight by fight basis, as Andy mentioned last week.
Yeah, you think Box Nation, Smith, would be on the prime position to pick it up? This should be their area, really. I thought they were supposed to be showing the Carson Jones Margarito fight last night, but that didn't materialise. Box Nation maybe need to pull their fingers out a little bit.
I didn't know anything about that, Steve, to be honest, about the Jones and Margarito. I actually thought it was on Friday, which was my mistake, but I never knew it was rumoured to be on Box Nation. But yeah, it's this is perfect for Box Nation. They've just not got an interest in promotional wise or fight or what as an individual fighter. But there's a lot of the guys they have shown on there, especially the cruiserweights. They have some good, some of the Russian cards, etc. They've had a lot of them over the years. So yeah, it's but the only good news that we've had from Box Nation this week, and I've mentioned it a few times, was the Golovkin and Canelo. So they are going pay-per-view, but if you are a subscriber like myself, then you don't have to pay any extra. Now, I know they said that you wouldn't have to pay any extra at the start months ago when they first realised or believed that they could do their own pay-per-view events. They were adamant that subscribers will not have to pay any more, which was all well and good at the time, but they went very, very quiet on that front, and there was no repeat of that line about subscribers wouldn't have to pay more for a few months. So I was getting worried that they were going to try and shaft subscribers, but it's turned out that subscribers won't have to pay more, which is good news.
Yeah, just to be fair to Box Nation, it was on a Facebook boxing group that I'm a member of that I saw that it was supposed to be on there, so they might have never said in the first place that it was. So I'll let them off on that score. Jack, just talking about the World Boxing Super Series, do you have any inside knowledge about where the TV might end up? And also, while we're on the subject of TV, any word just before the Fury against Parker fight's announced where that might end up?
No, I haven't heard what's going on with the World Boxing Super Series, like in terms of a package. I think what everyone said is true. They were a bit naive in thinking that the demand would be there to sell it outright. I do think Eddie's being a bit stubborn, because I think he could really have bought the whole package and made a couple of pay-per-view fights out of this. As Adam said, Obviously, Callum Smith with the right undercard would easily be a pay-per-view in terms of Eddie's opinion. Obviously, you've got Eubank in there. Maybe he's not so sure that the Eubanks will go through with it if they don't get the right deal with Sky. If he wanted to turn one of the World Boxing Super Series fights with Eubank into a pay-per-view. So, yeah, not so sure what's happening with that. Hopefully, it does land on Box Nation and they can give it the right treatment.
Gabe, I'm going to hit you with a question about David Benavidez very shortly. Just before we do so, whenever we were going over the top 3 favourite fights, Rob, I believe you were looking at your top 3 favourite knockouts. So it'd be remiss of me not to ask you to let us know your 3 favourite boxing knockouts. Hit us. Rob Kelly.
Dude, I got them written down because I knew I got to get to them quickly. Hold on there one sec. Yeah, my first one is Tyson Berbick. Because I remember me and my dad got up to watch that like live. It was on ITV or something, and he was bidding to be the youngest heavyweight champion. And our cousin had been over from the UK. He was going to go pro. He used to spar with John Conte, but he went to the gym one day and saw someone punch drunk and ditched it before his pro debut and that. But he was telling us about Tyson and all that. So we just seen him manhandle Berbick. That was incredible. Julian Jackson when he knocked out Harold Graham just because. The way he just iced him, just evaporated him with the right hand as he was coming forward. Jones Griffin too. Just thought it was unreal the way Jones came back and just the left hook was just a thing of beauty. But there's other ones you can include there, like Robinson Fulmer and.
The perfect punch.
You know what I mean? Robinson Fulmer really is the best knockout of all time. So it's undisputed, isn't it? Most people think it's the greatest one punch knockout in history. From the way he set it up and just.
And that was a guy that was way past his prime as well to deliver on that shot.
Exactly. And then there's Hearns Duran, and you know what I mean? Just incredible knockouts that you see in your lifetime. You know what I mean?
Ben against Anton Logan. Remember that fight?
Oh, yeah. Anthony Logan. Yeah, that was a slugfest, wasn't it?
Oh, I tell you what, I've mentioned this many times before, but Ben was lost at sea in that fight. It was at least 20 or 30 unanswered shots he took. And they just unloaded with a fucking left hand. Oh, fuck me. He just brought it to the depths of hell, and just knocked them fucking clean out of it. What a shot, man. Holy fuck. What about Bob Foster against Dick Tiger? That was a good left. That was a good left hook as well.
Cracker.
Cheers, Rob. Gabe, as I mentioned there, on September the 8th, Las Vegas, live on Showtime, David Benavidez is squaring off against Ronald Gavriel for the vacant WBC super middleweight title. This was the fight that Anthony Durrell and Callum Smith, I think it was, were originally going to be fighting for this WBC title. It's found its way vacant over to Benavidez, who you would expect to beat Gavriel. Just bear with me, Gabe, while I read this question out from James Bernard. And see what you think about this. Are you there, Gabe, just before I start?
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. James Bernard has said, this question is regarding rating a fighter purely on the eye check. I try my hardest not to get carried away rating a fighter that looks fantastic, blowing away tomato cans. But every now and again, one pops up that I get balls deep on. And that fighter for me, says James, over the last 18 months or so, is David Benavidez. I have him blowing away every super middleweight on the planet before he's really ticked off a few big question marks in the ring. Should he be getting carried away, Gabe? What's the verdict?
I think it's a little bit early still. If you've seen him fight, I mean, you can see that he does come forward. He does when he gets his guys in a little bit of trouble, he'll finish them off. I mean, there are definite reasons to be excited about the kid for sure. I don't think there's any reason that you could watch him and not enjoy what you see. Whether you're a guy that likes the technical styles of boxing or you like the fan-friendly guys or anything in between. I mean, unless you're just one of those, snobby people that only likes the technical stuff. I mean, I can see how you might not be a fan, but for most boxing fans in general, they're going to like what they see. I would be careful, though, about getting too high up on him yet. He's, like you said, still got some questions. I want to see him in a fight with more of a live dog, somebody that can test him out a little bit more. He does leave himself open, and he does get hit. He just hasn't had anybody that's really checked his chin in a real solid way yet. But I mean, not to say that he hasn't been punched clean and hard. I think that it could be a little bit early. But so far, I mean, I do agree with that we should be excited about the kid. I think the kid is great to watch. I just think it may be a little bit early. Time will tell. As far as blowing out the whole division, I think that's a little bit premature. Off the top of my head, let's see, of super middleweight fighters. Let's see. The Durrell brothers will both probably give him a hard fight.
And their trainer probably would too.
DeGale would give him a hard fight.
What about Gilberto Ramirez, Gabe? Do you think that'd be a good fight?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be a great fight for those of us that want to see an action fight. I think it would be a good fight to see. I think Ramirez. I just have to favor Ramirez to take him just based on experience at this point.
He's a big guy, Benavidez, isn't he? I remember when he fought in Las Vegas on the Frampton Santa Cruz undercard. He fought this little squat Uzbekistani or something, and he's absolutely huge for the weight.
He is. He does look big to me for the weight. He's tall and lanky, and but he doesn't really fight as tall as he looks to me, just based off of what I've seen so far. I mean, he
likes to hunch in, doesn't he, and go to war. Like, I mean, that fight with Porky Medina, he was absolutely knocking his head around like a speedball. He was getting inside and just bang, bang, bang. He really does look like a murderous puncher at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think there's absolutely reason to be excited. I just a little bit early for me. That's all. I wouldn't disagree with what the guy's saying. What his thoughts are. Just for me, just based on what I've seen so far, I'll watch any fight that he's in anytime. But I wouldn't be the one to anoint him as the next guy, the next big guy at the weight class. I think he's got a few more tests to go through before we can put that title on him. But yeah, all great, all action, great fun fighter to watch. And he's not technically terrible either. I mean, he does have a few flaws. He does leave himself open when he's going to war, but I mean, that's just part of the nature of the beast. Whenever you fight like he does, you're going to be open at times. So, but he's quick, powerful, big. He seems fairly intelligent with what he's doing. He's not, doesn't look like a C class or B class fighter. I mean, I think he's got a lot of upside. So time will tell.
No probs, Gabe. Just looking down the rest of that card, I'm getting a bit of feedback. That's okay. J. Leon Love against Abraham Han. Caleb Plantson. Peter Quillen is making his return. It must be about 2 years since we last saw him in action. Matty, I'm just looking at this opponent for Benavidez, Ronald Gavriel. I think he might be something to do with Floyd Mayweather's camp. I could just be making that up, though. He's a Romanian based in the States. His only loss came in 2015 against Elvin Ayala. That really does send off alarm bells to me, Matty. Benavidez, you would imagine, is definitely a big favourite in this one.
Yeah, and I can't say that I've seen much of Gavriel myself. I'm trying to think back to that loss, but you got these guys, and they come up in small countries or countries with small boxing communities and build a record off of fighting nobodies, basically, people that would never be able to compete outside of a local scene. And then they come up here and they hit the first game and it's toast. So seems just like probably a guy to make Benavidez look good. It'll be interesting to see what he does. I mean, I swear I remember when Benavidez first started boxing professionally. I swear he was around welterweight or junior welterweight. I'm trying to think back.
I think he was a light middleweight, wasn't he, as an amateur or something like that?
Something.
Or welter, sorry.
Yeah, so it seems like he's just someone that, because I swear I remember giving him hell for missing weight like a few times in a row or canceled fights or something like that. But it seems like he was just filling into his natural body, which is something that can definitely happen if you start your career really early. So, I think they've got a good guy here. He's definitely what you'd consider a blue chip prospect. So it should be an easy night's work.
Yeah, I'll maybe give Emily Pandalakis a call for next week's show. Sometime contributor to the Nuthouse. I know she's been on a couple of times. She's something to do with Benavidez, his management team, I think. So we'll maybe hit her up. Andy, do you want to say anything briefly about Benavidez before we move on?
No, I'm all right, mate. On you go.
No problem. Jack, there was a second part to James Bernard's question. I'm going to hit you with this one out the blue with a punch that you didn't see coming. James was talking about Benavidez basically off the eye test before he'd done anything or beaten anybody. And the second part was, are there any fighters, Jack, outside of the obvious ones who have massive amateur pedigree that you rate ahead of their achievements? So basically, you're rating them on the eye check. You know that they haven't proven anything in the ring and there's nothing really to back up what you're thinking, but you just like the look of them and you think they're going to be absolutely brilliant. I'll throw one in for you, Jack, before I let you answer. Regis Prograis, I really like the look of this guy, and he hasn't really beaten anybody of any note, and I'm a bit afraid of going down the Adrian Broner route because we all know where that got me. Is there anybody that you just really like the look of but hasn't done anything to justify that just yet?
Oh yes, from in terms of they've already turned over, you mean, and they just haven't quite.
Yeah, just their look. The eye test says that they're going to be a brilliant fighter, and you really like the look of what they're seeing, but they haven't really beaten anybody yet, and they maybe haven't got the amateurs pedigree to suggest that they're going to be excellent. But you just like the look of them.
In terms of like very good amateurs that haven't really done it yet, I mean, you have to look at one of our guys like Luke Campbell. He's not really looked excellent as an amateur, but hasn't quite taken off in the pros. In terms of someone who might quite take off in the pros, yeah, come back to me on that one.
I will do. What about you, Smido? Do you want to weigh in on this one? Anyone who's floating your boat, but for no other reason than you like the way they're operating in the ring at the moment?
I don't really follow the amateur, Steve, and I don't entertain any of this next gen shit, so I can't really, or the next gen type shit. So I'm probably not the right man to ask for that one, to be honest, mate.
No problem. We shall move on and try something else, maybe. Let's have a look through my list of questions. This is quite a topical one, Andy, because we're going to be moving on to the Gonzalez fight very soon in the Superfly card. Joel Archer asked this one actually on the Sunday evening after Terence Crawford had handled Julius Ndongo. I obviously wasn't on the pod that week, thanks to Matty for jumping in and taking over. But Andy, Joel said, did the way that Terence Crawford handled Ndongo change any of your pound-for-pound lists that were created last week? That was obviously the previous week. And what other current matchups and results could create a change? So I think what he's saying here, Andy, is say if Gonzalez beat Rungvisai or Wangek or whatever you call him, would that maybe force you to put him back at number 2 or maybe in number 1? You know where I'm getting with this, you know.
Aye. I can't remember where I had Gonzalez actually. I need to go back and check or listen again. But as I said, well, obviously, I think I just found it there. So I had Ward, Gonzalez, Crawford, Lomachenko, Golovkin, Canelo, Yamanaka. Well, that's changed because Yamanaka got beat. Mickey Garcia, Inoue, and Kovalev. Now, as I say, I think it's a disservice to Gonzalez, even though he had it was a hard fight nonetheless, and it was a very, very close fight. Some will argue that he definitely won, but I think based on it, I think deep down he actually lost the fight. But you can't go against what he's achieved against one defeat, and this absolutely. I mean, a lot of people had him ranked 1 on the list, and he takes a loss in his first fight at another weight division against a legit fucking champion. So he takes a disputed loss, and you're going to kick him off the top 10. That's too much. I think bare minimum Gonzalez deserves to be at least top 5. Say I've got him 2, but that's just my preference. If he wins, I think he'll probably stay 2. I can understand the argument for maybe putting him 1 and dropping Ward in a position. Crawford maybe deserves to be number 1 now, I suppose. Who knows? But definitely, I would need to go back and revisit it. But that'll be after obviously the weekend. But I'll need to see because Yamanaka getting beat, even though Neri failed the drugs test, that shouldn't have anything against it. So I would think coming into the top 10, there would probably be either maybe like Estrada, Nietes, or Thurman maybe. So I need to go back and think about it. But I think if Gonzalez wins next week, it's debatable, but I still don't think he deserves to be dropped to the top 10 entirely off one defeat.
Yeah, Rob, just briefly, same question to you. This is a bit like if my auntie had a dick, she'd been my uncle type of questioning. You know, I mean, if Golovkin or Canelo beat each other, would that change your list? Does Crawford win over Indongo change your list? If Gonzalez wins, I mean, can you see any movers and shakers in your top 10?
I think if Crawford was to move up and beat a guy like Tom, who's been looking for, that would make it very difficult between him and Andre Ward. But the way you kind of look at these pound for pound things is like record, skill set, legacy, and for that reason, it's difficult while Andre Ward is active to take that off him as the number one pound for pound, even though Crawford is right up there. I think it's between those two guys. You can make an argument for Canelo and Golovkin, but if you're looking at, I mean, Canelo's resume against the top fighters, he's kind of, I know he's got wins and stuff, but in his real acid tests, has he come through the way some of the other pound for pound guys have dominated? I suppose if Golovkin goes and blows Canelo out of there, it's hard to make an argument against him for pound too. So could be some movement. These things change every 6 months. So
we'll check back in with you soon, Rob, because I'm sure the fans are desperate to know. Right. We've got the Superfly coming up. We've also got Bellew of the Week. We've got the Usyk Huck card. Before we move on to that, Gabe, I believe you wanted to have a word about Michael Conlan and maybe Ryan Garcia, a couple of prospects on the horizon. You want to know our opinion, but I want to know yours, Gabe. What do you think of Conlan and what do you think of this Ryan Garcia? Could be one to watch for the future?
Yeah, I think both of them could be. I have seen a little bit of both of them. If you YouTube them, let me see. I can't remember. I had a friend who enjoys boxing here near where I live, and he was telling me about Garcia. I don't know how he heard about the guy, but there's a few fights of his on YouTube that you can see, so that would be a good place to start. I think he could be one. He's fast, and he's powerful, and basically, I think he's got around 10 fights or so, but the kid looks good so far. So that's one. And then I don't know, Michael Conlan. I mean, you guys are closer to him than I am. So what's the thought over across the pond? I mean, from what I've seen, it looks good. I don't know. That's a young guy that I see that hasn't had much in the professional ranks, but looks like it could be solid for him going forward. I don't know. Like I said, you guys are closer to that one than I am.
Yeah, definitely like the look of Conlan. Did lots of things as an amateur, Andy. We've had him on the show before. They're taking him nice and slow at the moment. He's just easing into the professional game, even though he's had a couple of headliners and an appearance in Australia as well. We like the look of Conlan on here, Andy.
Yep, I think he said that he would either be next year or the year after be looking for a world title fight. And obviously he's mentioned himself as he's got unfinished business with Shakur Stevenson because it was basically the Olympic final. I think everybody was kind of waiting for that fight, either between him or was it maybe the Cuban or the Russian, I forget who. But I think that was the kind of fight that basically the kind of world was looking at in that division. It was at bantamweight, I think it was. So Conlan against Shakur Stevenson. Now, again, I know Stevenson was getting not so much shit, but I think some people were no impressed. I've not been impressed with him, shall we say, since he turned over. Doesn't seem to sit his punches. Maybe he's only still early 20s, I suppose, so he's still got a wee bit of learning to do in that. But I think at the minute, if that fight was to get made, I'd have Conlan a heavily favourite because far more mature, far more stronger, far more experienced. So we'll hopefully get that fight made as well. You just wonder if it will happen because I think he signed with Andre Ward, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Ward next because I think his HBO deal is due to expire. And with Top Rank having this ESPN deal, he might want to move over there and get his fighters some TV time on ESPN, which I wouldn't be against either.
No problem. I think that one's answered for you, Gabe. Let's move on to the big one as far as we're concerned. Really looking forward to these series of fights. September the 9th, Carson, California on HBO. The Superfly, Tom Loeffler, has managed to get about 6 different promotional entities together, which is a feat in itself these days. To see Srisuke Rungvisai versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. This is a rematch for Rungvisai's WBC Junior Bantamweight title. You've also got Naoya Inoue defending his WBO junior bantamweight title that he's forgot to bring with him against Antonio Nieves. And the fight of the night, well, I hope it will be the fight of the night. I think it will be Carlos Cuadras against Juan Francisco Estrada. 12 rounds for the WBC junior bantamweight eliminator. This can't fail to deliver. Adam Smith, let's get the important stuff out of the way first. I want you to lay the marker down. Is it Sorung Vase or Usyk Silwangek? Set us down. What are we going to call this guy?
Oh, fuck no, Steve. I don't care. Wanyek, that'll do me.
Go on then, Smido. Yeah. Talk about any of the 3 fights you want in any order. We want to listen to what you've got to say.
I thought about this a little bit earlier, Steve. You're not going to get a technical breakdown from me. I'll leave that to the expert of these weights like Andy. But this is one of the best shows ever put together. Because we've got, they're all at the same weight. 2 of them are genuinely close fights. Inoue's going to win easily by the looks of it. I think I'm right to say that there's 3 different world titles in the same weight on the same night in the same venue, all with different promotional outfits, as you've mentioned, Steve. It's some achievement to get it on. And I've been telling people at work, it's on Sky. Make sure you tape it and make sure you watch it the morning after. You will not be disappointed. You cannot be disappointed by this. That Estrada against Cuadras is a fantastic fight. One of the, away from a Gonzalez rematch, it's the best fight that could have been made that involves Juan Estrada. That's a fantastic fight. We get to try and see Gonzalez get revenge. It's a brilliant night of boxing, really. For the odds, which have come out only today or maybe yesterday, Inoue's 1-14, so it looks likely to beat Nieves quite comfortably according to the odds. I don't know a lot about Nieves, I'm going to admit that. Estrada and Cuadras they've got Estrada the favourite there, 8-13, Cuadras the opposite price, and Roman Gonzalez is 1-3 to get revenge over Wanyek. I think we've seen, because I've seen Gonzalez, I'm lucky enough to have seen Gonzalez in the flesh. I've watched a few of his older fights since Andy got me hooked on him. He is starting to struggle a bit. He's moving up in weight. And obviously we saw that in a big way last time. Wanyek was just a lot bigger and overpowering him. Coupled with the move up in weight and age, maybe catching up with him. It was a real shame to see Gonzalez lose last time. It was close, but I wouldn't say it was massively controversial. It was just a shame to see him lose. I wanted to Gonzalez, a man who's at a lower weight, not making as much money, not as high profile. I wanted to see him surpass Mayweather's record, to be honest. That's what I really wanted to happen. So we could shoot Mayweather down with that. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that. And I see that I don't see this as clear cut as Gonzalez just turning up and getting the job done. I honestly don't. It's going to be another big ask for Gonzalez. Maybe he's grown into the weight a bit better this time round. It's been quite a while since the first match, so I would very much like Gonzalez to see him win, and then take on the winner of Cuadras and Estrada, both of which obviously he's faced before. The Gonzalez Estrada was the first fight that I watched and what Andy sent me, and like I say, I've been hooked ever since then. I thought that was a fantastic fight. And yeah, I honestly can't wait. I really can't wait. I'm working away next weekend, but I will be getting up. I'm booked in a high profile premiere living the high life, and I will be getting up in the middle of the night to watch this. And I'm pretty sure it's on Sky, which is good news as well. Kind of surprising, really, that it's on Sky, given that given that they've not got no real interest on it. I know we can say Yafai,
maybe, yeah.
These lads, he's not going to get. No, I can't see it. But I mean, it's interesting that they make Estrada the favourite, given that this is going to be his first real fight up at Superfly. So there's all sorts of different facets. But I'll let Andy take it away, really.
No problem. It's wrong Vizay, as Jack has informed me. Andy, I'm going to keep my bullshit to a minimum just before I let you tear away on any of the 3 fights. Makech has jumped in. He says, I hope Chocolatito wins, but I can't see it. I think your man is too big. Also think Estrada will outskill Cuadras. Take it away on any of the fights, Andy.
Yep. Well, like Speedo, I was thinking about what I was going to do when I got up during the middle of the night and watch it. I'll be in Berlin at the time, but my flight back's like 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'm wondering whether just to bite the bullet, record it and watch it when I get back to the UK. So, first off, the guy that Inouye's fighting, Antonio Nieves. I think he might be ranked in the top 10 in WBO, but this is his first scheduled 12 rounder. And to be honest, I really think this is just a showcase for Inoue. I mean, first fight in America. It's glad to see him on the road actually, because if it's one thing at the minute with the Japanese fighters, if you take away the guys like Kamagai and that, who we know they're kamikaze and they're going to give some of like the Golden Boy, Top Rank, and maybe PBC fighters a tough night. But we didn't see like the higher echelon guys, the true world champs coming forward, and that there's talk there recently about Ioka retiring because he's had a fallout with his dad, and there's meant to be a dispute there regards he's not getting big fights and that, especially out with the country. So he's talking about retiring if he doesn't get a transfer to another gym. But as I say, Inoue, I think it'll be a showcase fight, and I do expect them to basically done the business. Hopefully the hands are okay. I know the right hand's been pretty problematic over the last 2 years. That was the reason why I was pushing for that Gonzalez fight to happen pretty quickly, because we just don't know if Inouye's hands are going to be brittle or if he's going to have to be forced to retire as a result of it. But it'll be interesting, because if he wins this fight and if Gonzalez loses, I think we will see Inoue go up the bantamweight. He's lost the Yamanaka fight now as well, so we'll just need to wait and see what happens with Inoue. Estrada Cuadras. I think this is a really tight fight. Estrada is I think it was Speedo said that actually, he's not really been in some really good super flyweight fights recently. His last fight at flyweight was against Hernan Marquez, who's seen better days. He's fought
since then. We haven't seen him in a 12-rounder since 2015, September 2015. It's going to be 2 years since he was last in a 12-round fight.
That's it. Well, that's it as well. But I think again, it might be something to do with politics. That he was really trying to push for the Gonzalez rematch. There was a dispute about money and that. I think it just came at the end of the days. Gonzalez moved up, he moved up as well, because at that point flyweight was kind of thinning out with the top names. Gonzalez was the money fight for anybody between 108 and 115. Gonzalez is the money fight. But for Estrada Cuadras, I think this will be a tough fight for Estrada, because Cuadras is a big guy for the weight. There is a bit of suspect about is he on the peds and that, but I think it's a distance fight written all over it. I think it will be quite tight in the cards. I think Estrada might sneak a split decision here. As for my boy Chocolatito, just like everybody else and that, I was big on this guy coming up as a minimum weight, watching the DODGY streams on a Saturday night, 4 o'clock in the morning, watching this guy. I would love
hardcore helmet.
Oh, I would love it. I would fucking Kevin Keegan style love it if Gonzalez pulls this off and just cements his greatness. If he pulls this off, I don't think his legacy is in any doubt whatsoever. It's going to be tough. I really want to kind of hold off kind of prediction now, because I'm going to be saying with my heart, and it's going to be like Gonzalez. But what can you do differently for the first fight? He's going to have to box. The fight his life, I think, because we all know what Chopper brings. He's just going to bring it on top of him at all times. If it stands in the pocket, he's going to trade with Gonzalez. Gonzalez is going to have to try and find something, I think. I think he may have to drop him a couple of times in order to kind of secure or be confident enough to basically take out the cards. I don't see a knockout any way, shape or form. If there is going to be a knockout at any short, I think it will be the tie, maybe Stoughton Gonzalez, but I don't see it. Gonzalez is, unless it's one fight too many for him, I don't know, but as I says, I'm going to side with Gonzalez just to kind of say that he's going to be great and he's going to do it and that, but I don't say it with any great confidence whatsoever.
I give Gonzalez a chance of winning by knockout, Andy. To be honest, I think there was his weight. I think he'll have grown into the weight better. I think he'll have probably trained better, to be honest. And yeah, I can see him getting to him in the end, but he's going to have to take some performance to win. Never mind win by knockout.
Well, everybody write down your predictions, because after we've gone through the whole panel, I'm going to be asking you to come up with them. Joining us on the call now, we have Brian King. Brian, we all know what you're on for, but before we get stuck into that, I want to get the Superflies out the way. Is there anything you want to talk about regarding this card?
No, I couldn't give a fuck about midgets.
Excellent, thanks, Brian. Right, Matty, what do you reckon then? Just take it away, man.
And it's going to be a really enjoyable card. I think they could build Inoue up into be a star, but everyone has to remember, though, is he's starting out at this weight, and the other guys are really, grown into it. This could be their last weight class. So in any fight that might happen after this, he's going to have a reasonable size advantage. As far as Gonzalez, I had him winning the first fight. I think he'll be able to adjust. He has more tools than Rungvisai, and he won't give away as many early rounds to him as he's trying to figure him out. And I think he'll win comfortably this time. It won't be edge of the seat decision. I think he'll take it 8 rounds to 4, maybe 7 rounds to 5 on a card. Cuadras against Estrada is a great card, great fight. It's all about range, And I think if Estrada can find a way to take control of the middle ground, and I think he's the better inside and body puncher, and he'd be able to take it that way. But if Cuadras can manage to keep Estrada at the end of his punches, it's going to be a different story. So I've got Gonzalez by decision, and I think I've taken Estrada by a debated decision.
Rob, if the winner of Gonzalez Rungvisai, we believe, will fight the winner of Cuadras Estrada because that's the eliminator, but then you've got Inoue as well with his WBO title, so he could jump in for unification. We don't know who's going to fight who after this, but it's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for Gonzalez, he has to try and control the pace early. That's going to be difficult for him because he always comes on in the second half of the fight. But I think he got disorientated after that knockdown in the first fight, and it took him a little while to get his step. But I'd like to say he has a big chance of winning this fight, and I'd love to see him against the winner of Cuadras Estrada. I mean, Gandhi's right; that's got a distance fight written all over it. Like only 3 losses between the two of them and no stoppages, so they're going to stand there and just bang it out. So it's going to be a good night. Like. Looking forward to it. I hope Gonzalez does it as well, because I hadn't really paid attention to the lower weights before really listening to the pod, and kind of before Gonzalez started getting on the Triple G undercards. Like, but it's a shame really we're kind of seeing him at the end for the world, like, or for the larger watching public. Like, but I hope he does it. I hope he can pull it off. Like.
Jack, like I said before, Cuadras Estrada's the one I'm looking forward. I don't know, when I say they're looking forward to the most, they're all 3 excellent fights. I'm looking forward to the whole card, but I think that might deliver. I fancy Estrada for that one, actually. But this beast, Inoue, coming out of Japan, fair play to him for travelling. He seems up for it. He seems to fancy the job, and it's great at these lower weights. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but they seem willing to fight each other, and HBO's putting the money up, so long may it continue.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's refreshing to see them on the same card as well. There's no real jostling for who wants to be main event, co-main event, whatever. I think that's the way they're going to have to sell themselves moving forward, is as a package. And I think that's really good value for fans. You think the 3 fights, I mean, we all think all will deliver, but if one doesn't, I mean, we're not going to be left disappointed, are we? We've got. The chances are that a couple of them at least are going to be real crackers. The main event, I think, Rungvisai and Gonzalez, like, fascinating to see whether Gonzalez can take the punishment a bit better this time. I think those heavy shots really sort of took their toll early doors. I think he was a bit shocked. I think the body work seemed to, if I remember correctly, caused him a lot of trouble early doors. But then
he got caught with a body shot. It was almost like a left. Was it a left or a right to the sort of left breast? And that caught him out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a knife, wasn't it? Straight. It caught him really, really sharp, like inside, and it sort of. I mean, it probably sort of made him switch on a little bit. You think if he got caught with that, maybe a few rounds later, might not have been able to sort of switch it up and like adapt as he did. I mean, I do think he could stop him and win it this time. I mean, he really did land some heavy shots on Rungvisai in the first fight, and I think all possibilities open in that one. I wasn't that impressed with Cuadras last time out. I think work of was it Carmona
Yeah, David Carmona.
Yeah, I thought that was a chance for him to really establish himself and put himself in the shot window as such for that rematch with Gonzalez, and it didn't really happen as he would have liked. Got the win. Estrada obviously coming up, so that's going to be a really tough one to call. I think I agree with the guy. The guy's going to be a very close decision. Could go either way. But yeah, it's going to be a brilliant night of boxing.
Last but by no means least, Gabe, come to you. Gonzalez is blowing up in weight, and he's coming to the end of his career. I think it's fair to say, and it is a shame that we're only seeing him hit the big time as such of American TV right towards the end of his career. But better late than never, I suppose. He seemed to be working out Wangek towards the end of the fight. Do you think he'll take that into this rematch, that he maybe did get caught a little bit off the pace? He wasn't quite concentrated, and it took the cut, it took the knockdown to sort of knock him into shape and wake him up a little bit. Maybe he got even a little touch complacent, Gabe?
I think maybe so. I don't know how fighters feel about it, but I know a lot of times whenever we see guys from that part of the world, it's one of those things. A lot of times you don't know what you're going to get. And I think it may have been one of those cases where he may have been a little bit complacent. But judging from his typical attitude, I think that he just had an off night. And I think it was Smito earlier that said that he thought it was a shame that he lost. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It was a hell of a fight. I mean, it was a hell of a fight. So, it's boxing. I think people put too much emphasis on a great career and then one loss. I mean, who gives a shit? You know, any other sport, a loss is a loss is a loss. I mean, you rarely have any sport where people remain undefeated forever, and so to me, it doesn't make a rat's ass bit of difference. I mean, I do think he got a little bit caught off guard. I do think he might have been a little bit complacent. I think it was more of a combination of factors than just any one thing. But I do think this fight's going to be a little bit better for him. I think it'll still be a close fight. I think it'll be a tough fight, but not in the close, could go either way type of fight. I think it's going to be at the end. We'll say, well, that was a good fight. That was a close fight, well contested by both guys. But I think Chocolatito is going to come out on top in the end of that one, and then I'll have, in a way, taking that fight. And then the other one, I'm kind of like you. I'm really looking forward to the Cuadras Estrada fight. As much as I want to see Estrada take the fight, I just don't see it happening. I think he's a little bit past his best, and I think Cuadras is tough enough and has enough advantages to take the fight fairly easily. Although I hope that's not the case. I want to see Estrada just come forward and blitzkrieg on that. And it's not for a preference of me liking Cuadras or Estrada more than Cuadras. I love both fighters. I'm hoping for a hell of a fight. But, overall, big picture thing is I'm glad to see these small guys getting paid. Fucking HBO has gone to shit. I mean, it's all pay-per-view, or it's either pay-per-view, Andre Ward, Kovalev, and that's it. I mean, what else do they show? Nothing. So if somebody's going to give them some exposure, I'm glad it's going to be a place like HBO. Hopefully they're making the money they deserve to make. And I'm just excited to see a fucking card like this on American television. This is not something that happens often. And usually we've got to reach out for the streams to watch it live. Download it later after somebody across the ocean has uploaded it. Those kind of things. We just don't get a lot of opportunities to see these guys fighting, because it's a weird thing that people have when they want to see the heavyweights. Well, for the longest time, the heavyweights were boring. When Klitschko was there, they were boring, and it was slobbish, and nobody gave a shit. And this is where I watch fights at. I mean, these little guys, they're demons. They're pint sized, and they just tear the shit out of everything. I love watching them fight. So for me, And yeah, it's super exciting to see these guys coming to American television. I just can't tell you how I'm tickled as a pig in shit right now. I'm rolling around just happy as I can be to see them on American television and not having to watch some shitty stream at 5 in the morning or some shit like that.
Gabe's buzzing everybody. Before we get your predictions, final point on Inouye's opponent, Antonio Nieves. Not familiar with him at all, I must say, but he's actually coming into this world title opportunity on the back of a loss, a split decision loss in Detroit, and then 3 fights ago he had a split draw, so he's not on great form. But you know, it's a WBO, isn't it? So that says it all. Right, very quickly, predictions. I'll go first. I believe Inoue will win by knockout. I believe Gonzalez will win a razor-tight split decision. And I believe Estrada will beat Quadras on points, probably unanimous by a couple of points on each card. Smido, what do you think on the 3 fights?
Inoue knockout, Gonzalez knockout, and Quadras on points.
Excellent. Brian, do you give a shit yet?
I just wanted to jump in, see with the first fight with Chocolatito.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with the scorecards. I just get the impression that he's like some of the fans' favourites kind of fighters, where it doesn't matter what happens in a fight, you're always just going to score the rounds for him no matter what. I thought he got practically bullied for most of the fight. Granted, it was competitive and it was a close fight, but anytime Chocolatito was hitting him, it didn't make a dent in him, and it looked as if he was just prepared to walk through absolutely everything. And you could see, I think Roman was hot a couple of times. I know. I scored it. To that wee, what was it, ringside? I scored it to him. I think it was 1-1-4, 1-1-2. I just think he was just a better fighter that night. I get it. There was only kind of one swing round, but I just thought, if you were going to get to MD, he was the rightful winner. I don't get how there was a bit of a meltdown after it, saying that it was a fucking robbery. It wasn't. It was a competitive fight. Just so happens that just the top guy in the pound for pound rankings lost. Sometimes it happens.
Mm-hmm. Talking of robberies, Brian, we'll be coming into you in a minute for your soliloquy. Before we do, Andy, do you want to give us your predictions for next weekend?
Inoue stoppage, Estrada close points. As I say, I didn't say it with any great confidence, but I'm going to just go with Gonzalez, maybe just shading it on points.
Okay, Rob, lay it out for us.
Yeah, I think Gonzalez. I think Estrada and Inoue. And Paolo One Chape.
Paolo One Chape. Jack, what about you?
Yeah, I got Gonzalez on points, but I do think Rungvisai at more than 2-1 is a bit of value. I think it should be closer than that. Estrada, close one, maybe split decision, and Inoue by knockout.
And finally, Gabriel.
Sorry, was muted there. Inoue knockout in 4. I'm going to be a little bit more specific on mine. Chocolatito, unanimous decision, and Quadras, split decision.
Excellent. You gave us yours, Andy, didn't you?
Yeah, did I?
Brilliant. Right, let's move on. We're going to go to Usyk against Huck later, and then the Bellew of the Weeks. Before we do so, we have our special guest on the line. We haven't heard from him in a while. Mr. MVP himself, Brian King. Now, Brian, I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to let you lay this shit out yourself, but I believe there's been a bit of a Bernie Madoff situation, a bit of a Robert Maxwell going on. There's a lot of con men in this sport. We won't name them, but I believe that you've had a bit of financial dealings this week. What's happened? Tell us what's going on.
Name names. Simon Clayton, you're a cunt.
Well, obviously, there's a guy like Simon Clayton. He's I would say the kind of it must be for the St Helens Wigan area. It was I've known him for about 4 years, so I put it I'm quite friendly with him. I spoke to him fucking near enough every day. I've been to boxing shows with him. I've went to shows in Belfast with him. I've met him in England. I've met him in Scotland. So this kind of just wasn't just a random guy that I knew. So, like, basically, like, he asked me for a loan of money. Now, I get there's obviously people on this panel, and like, there's obviously people that will be on Twitter that'll think like they'll fucking maybe take a bit of pleasure in this. Like, I'll admit to being naive, right? I know I come across as a bit of a fucking idiot on like Twitter, a bit of a ball bag, right? But I generally do try to see the best in people, like outside of like the internet. Like, I take people for face value, which obviously is like in one way it can be a good quality. Obviously, in another way it's not. So, nearly thereabouts, like, he asked for a loan of money. Now, I'm not short of money. Like, I work hard for what I've got. Like, I'm a good saver, and because I trusted him, I didn't really see a fucking problem in this. So I gave him a loan of like 2,300. At the time, I didn't really know what the money was for, but because like he basically like used his boxer's like mate as like kind of collateral. Like, he does this for me, and he makes like he gives me 2,300. I don't really want to use the guy's name because he's fucking the boxer's absolutely devastated. Like that this has came about because he's known nothing about it. So like they would give like kind of 2,300, which is what I gave him, and he would give you like 3,000 back. Now, I checked up on this, and it did happen. So I had absolutely no reason for not to like believe in this, right? In hindsight now, like reading back everything that I posted on Twitter, I look fucking really silly and absolutely fucking stupid, and I'm embarrassed about it, but it is what it is. So after like about 5-6 days, I was like, right, where's the money? And he just kept giving me excuse after excuse after excuse. It's ridiculous. People can go on my Twitter, right? I posted it. It took a lot for me to kind of post all that because I knew how it was going to make me look, and so there was like about fucking 30 different excuses ranging for like his mum, his dad, his nephew, his brother, fucking like travelling 6 hours for work and all that. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. And and gullible me, like I kept kind of accepting like these excuses, and it wasn't until like some guy posted about like Cy Clayton on the internet that he'd done him out of money like for tickets. So I kind of read these text messages, and it was basically coming from like Jamie Moore, like people that like Jamie Moore knew, and like who Martin Murray was friendly with, and we kind of dug a bit deeper. I mean, found out that he had basically he's basically built some sort of fucking Ponzi scheme off the back of people where. Like he's went to VIP shows. Like people, like see if you looked at his profiles, like he would have like pictures like in boxing nights, like meeting Joe Calzaghe, Mike Tyson, like wrestlers and all that. He goes to all the fucking boxing in Britain, VIP, right? So that this guy kind of seemed legit. He get like really friendly with fucking loads of boxers and all that. So he was getting tickets off of like boxers. He was selling them, things like that. So he was building up a bit of rapport, and as far as I know, this guy ended up. He says that he could get tickets for like Joshua, like Klitschko, and these were VIP tickets. Bear in mind. So, like the guy had bought tickets off him before, I think. So, like he gave him 15,000 for like VIP tickets for like Joshua. And that. Didn't he get them? This started before like last December. Did Joshua have a fight last December? Was that Brazil?
It was late on.
So this started back here, like, in all where he was getting, like, he was saying he could get tickets for such and such, and he wasn't getting them. Now, and we're like, that kind of sounds a bit fucking dodgy. And then the next one, like, somebody else popped up and says, he owes me £6,000 for tickets, and I don't know if this was VIP tickets for Brooke Spence. And then I started.
It was the Molina fight, mate. The Molina fight was in Manchester last December.
Right. Okay. Right. So, like, somebody else says that he owed him 6,000 for that, and so I started questioning him, and he said it was absolutely fucking full of shit. Not to worry about it. The money will get sent. So I kept pushing it, and like in the WhatsApp chat I'm in, like I basically like they knew what was going on, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, just add him into the WhatsApp chat and we'll just dig him up. So we dug him up, and that is eventually when he fucking admitted, I've got myself into a bit of a hole, I'm going to pay him the money, and he just gave us so many fucking excuses, and that was at the point where I just kind of cracked. I was like, I'm not going to see this fucking money. And what I did find out was, like a couple of days after I gave him the money, he was making out that the money was basically for buying steroids and performance enhancing drugs that him and his brother was selling. And I've got a video, I did post it on on Twitter, that it's tubs of clenbuterol. Now, I mean, I'm not fucking totally clued up and all that, but I know what the clenbuterol is, and there was fucking thousands of them. So I know for a fact that he does do that stuff, right? And I know for a fact that it's clenbuterol because I told him to send me a tub one time, right? So what I basically done was I was that I posted like something on Twitter with regards to like done out of money. Then somebody messaged me and says, "Can you follow me so I can message you for a minute?" I was like, "Right, what is it?" And he says, "Are we talking about the same person?" I was like, "Is it Cy Clayton?" He's like, "Aye." He's like, "He's bumped me out with like Cal Frampton tickets." I was like, "Cal Frampton tickets for what?" He's like, "The last fight." And I was like, "But he can't get tickets for Cal Frampton." I was like, "That has to come through one of my mates who gets them off of like fucking Frampton himself, and he couldn't supply that amount of tickets." And he showed me all the messages where his pal wasn't going because he had to do something. He's got these tickets. Like, do you want them? Aye. But he wanted to send them through like, money through PayPal or bank transfer, and the guy sent him it, and he just didn't turn up with the tickets. And I was like, "But the fight get cancelled, so he could have sent you the tickets anyway, and you could have got the return." But he didn't do that. He kept fobbing them off for the exact same excuses as he fobbed off with me. Another guy contacted me, says that he was trying to sell him, I think it was like crawler tickets, and he was wanting a bank transfer and all. He's like, "Well, hold on." I was like, "I can just fucking meet you." I wish it was crawler or that. He's like, "I can just meet you. How about I just meet you and I give you cash?" That no problem. That didn't materialise because obviously he was wanting to pay cash. And then it just kind of snowballed. People were messaging me the exact same message he sent me about like the 2,300, and there was fucking loads of people. I don't know if I can mention. Like, in fact, I can speak to like, some of the people that like, spoke to me offline. Whether I can be able to mention their name at some point, because there's so many people turn around and says I don't want my name mentioned, but it was the exact same message. He sent that message to Scott Milligan, who's like one of John Ryder's like best mates. He asked like Matt Bowes for money. He asked like Matt McFarlane. I think that see when they found out about it, they were fucking reaching themselves because he was basically trying to do that to them, like just like bump them out of money as well. And so the more I started speaking to other people offline, the numbers just kind of grew and grew and grew. And these are all his best pals that he's known for absolute years. There's one person that's lost 5,000, another person that's lost 6,000. There's a single fucking mum from Manchester, I think it is, lost £2,000 because he bumped because he was in the circle of boxers and all that. He was like to do with them. He was getting sponsorship money off of people and stealing that and never giving it to the boxers. I know he one sponsor that he was doing a race for. He changed it from a Just Giving page to a GoFundMe page. That GoFundMe page would just go directly to him. He would be able to get that money himself. Now, I know that he's doing the Kilimanjaro tour in October, which I don't think he'll be doing now because I've contacted the charity to inform them what he's fucking done. I now found out that he wasn't working for last April. He only got a job last month, so he was unemployed for 14 months that no fucker knew about. He gets sacked for stealing money out the safe. And then other people contacted me the amount of money that he stole. Another boy has lost 3,500 plus £320 for Frampton tickets as well. He's still selling Crawler Burns tickets to people right now that we chinned him about. And he says, "I say people, they'll get their tickets." And this is people that gave him money that he's not turned up his tickets. So we've kind of tried to work out eventually that this could end up stemming he's robbed about £100,000 worth of fucking people's money.
Fucking hell.
So is he going into hiding? I mean, or is he still brazen?
Well, he's deleted his two Twitter accounts. I know that his Facebook page is still active. His Instagram picture. He's not answering his phone. Nobody. There's people that have been phoning him. I phoned him. Obviously, I'm just kind of phoning him now. I know that the money's not coming. I'm just kind of phoning him to annoy him. And he's been messaging people leaving like kind of voice notes on WhatsApp saying, I didn't mean to do what I've done. Just remember, I'm not that type of person and all that. I mean, this has been going on for years. This hasn't just been something that he's done over the last couple of months. It's premeditated. It's sinister as fuck. And I think the one thing that's going to get him in serious fucking bother is that single mum. That's going to I think he could get a fucking bad one because of that. Because that's he's taking an absolute fucking liberty. That I know that me, all his fucking pals, he's like stole money off. He's basically like kind of. There's just so much private stuff that I've been telling. I'm kind of trying to like kind of get on about it, so I don't kind of stick people in here. But he's basically get tickets off people not paid. So he's get tickets himself and not paid that money either. Now I see people like coming out now and turning around and saying, "Oh, we mentioned this ages ago and nobody fucking get the memo." No, we didn't. No cunt fucking knew about this. Absolutely no cunt of like people would have mentioned this. Well, it's great in hindsight, people saying, "Oh, how did you not know about that?" Oh, well, we obviously fucking didn't know, or we wouldn't be in the position that we're in. No, I've got a fitted kitchen getting fitted right now. I'm going to Vegas in a week's time. My car was in the garage to get fixed. I've got other stuff to fucking pay for, right? So I'm now having to use my money that I've kind of been saving up for a deposit for a house. Like, granted, it's my own fucking fault. I got myself into this position, so I can't really fucking like cry about it. But it's put me into more shit because I've got like Vegas, and it's not as if I'm going to cancel it. But I just like I deliberately posted all that on like Twitter, even though it was like kind of a bit of a fucking redneck, to make sure that other people aren't going to fall for this. Because what happened? What happened yesterday when I posted all this? What do you think he done yesterday when I posted all that? He went and messaged somebody and asked them for a line of £3,000. Aye.
Fucking hell, that's what I said to you last night. He's got more front than fucking Brighton, man.
No, he's also screwed people like the people that have actually helped him, like with employment and things like that. He tried to fuck them over as well. These are people that went out of their way to help him when he was unemployed, and he tried to fuck them over. Now, when we got him in the WhatsApp chat yesterday, it was basically he was trying to play the martyr. Oh, what have you done this for? Oh, I don't know, I wasn't thinking and all. What do you mean you're not fucking thinking? You've deliberately fucking went and asked me for money, fine well known what it was for, that you weren't ever going to pay me, and fobbed me off for 3 weeks. And he's done that to absolutely everybody else. I've seen the screenshots, people have sent me the messages and all that. He's done the exact same shit to loads of other fucking people. Now, I don't know what he spent the money on, but I'm gathering that because he's going to all these VIP shows, he doesn't get tickets anywhere else. It's always VIP. He goes to the VIP, like meeting the boxers, the VIP, the wrestlers. I know he's into his drugs. I know he's heavily into prostitutes. He told me he pays his like mum's like mortgage as well. So, and if he's not been working for 14 months, he's been using this money just to keep up this fucking lifestyle. He drove. This is how much a fucking banger is. He drove from Warrington to London with a birthday cake, for somebody's like birthday, just to drive all the way back up half an hour, just so he can show face, like to be in this fucking circle of boxing. I mean, I like boxing myself, right? But I could not give a fuck if I'm friendly with any fucker, like as in a boxer. I could not give a shit. You've heard me before saying I couldn't care less like what people get paid or all that. I'm only interested in like, watching people fight. But this guy is like, got so much low self-esteem that he feels as if like he fucking needs to be within boxing to like be something. Now, I deliberately posted all that yesterday to ruin his credibility, ruin his reputation, and make sure he can never go to another show. Now, I know there is some right dodgy bastards that he's fucking bumped, so we've been getting told, and if he's listening to this or not, man, I hope he ends up in a fucking ditch. I have like messaged him, I've saved a couple of fucking things to him, and he won't message back, but I've got his address, I've got his work's fucking address, I've got his brother's fucking work address. I will go down, I don't give a fuck, and if he's any sort of fucking man, he'll face up to it and no drag his family into it. I'm right fucking pissed off over this, and it seemed to have been like this wee fucking dirty secret that like nobody wanted to mention. But see, if like people kind of like spoke up when they fucking knew about this, then it might have not got out of hand, the amount of people that's been robbed here. But like we thought it was like maybe like £20,000 at the fucking worst, and it's just kind of absolutely snowballed. It was like basically like I was the whistleblower, and everyone's just kind of fucking like owned up to it. I don't think MD wanted to be the first person to own up that they get bumped, but I mean, I'm an absolute scumbag, so I have no fucking qualms of bringing them down.
Well, here, Brian, just to wind this up, then, what's going to happen next? Then, do you think? I mean, or seriously speaking, like, I mean, what's going to happen next with this whole thing?
Well, the person I don't think there's much can happen. I know those people that like turn around and saying, like, just deal with it, like, just get a hold of him and kick his head in. It's not fucking that simple. It's not just that simple. Driving down from Scotland to England to do that, right? And I know there's people that turn around saying, you don't want to be a grass. But I tell you what, the guy's fucking ruined a lot of people's lives here. So I will be contacting the criminal court. I will be taking it through that. I've got all the fucking proof that it was not a gift. It was a loan, right? I know there's other people that's going to deal with it in other ways. I've contacted the charity that he was running for. I've contacted people within boxing, and I will be contacting his work employment. I do not give a fuck if people think bad of me. Like, I will fucking ruin his life. So that's the short of it. That's what I will be doing.
See, the other thing as well is if he gets caught with e-peds, he's fucking facing minimum 10 years in the fucking jail.
Also, I'm contacting the British Boxing Board of Control. So he's got a boxing license like a sentence or something like that in the corner. So that's what we're doing. And people can think badly of that. I don't really care.
Right, is there anything you want to add, Brian, before we move on?
I hope he dies.
Okay. Well, sure, we'll get you on again in the future, boxing or Clayton or whatever related.
No problem, thank you.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Brian King there making a return to the show after an enforced absence. Unfortunate circumstances. I think we shall move on. Let's get this fight preview done, Andy, before we get out of here, and then move on to Bellew of the Week, and then we shall finish up. You're going to Usyk against Huck, aren't you? Let's bring things back full circle, back to the boxing. What are you expecting in Berlin to go down next weekend?
I'm just hoping we didn't get sued off Cy Clayton. I mean, he's got a lot of money to fucking run about and fucking get lawyers involved in that. I think I'll police his problems away.
For slander. I
mean, what a cunt. Man, imagine fucking going about dobbing your mates off like that. That's and the thing is to see the guy. I dare say some guys will be able to handle it and maybe just fucking deal with it in certain ways. But see, you start robbing off single parents and that. We fucking got kids to bring up. That's different matters for other people. Like, but on the fight, yep, Usyk Huck. I'm really looking forward to it. Germany's always a good place to go. Undercard's not up to much. I was watching a bit of Huck again there last night. I think he's obviously we all know he's past his best, or past the peak in that. I think I'm going to say that he's best, or his absolute apex anyway was against Povetkin. I think for then on it's been on the slide. Now, barring anything we don't know what's been happening in the gym and stuff, I do fancy Usyk strongly here, and I do expect him to kind of do it widen points. I just don't think Huck's got that. He's just not the trip switching him anymore. He's not got the stamina to basically kind of kick into gear every 60 or 90 seconds left in a round. They start trying to steal the round and stuff. I don't think he's got it. He might try it early doors and stuff, but I just think Usyk will be a bit more kind of calm and composed, and just jab and box and just move and just work the angles and just give Huck basically a torrid night. I'd be well surprised if he actually stopped him because it's one thing. It's not a slight against Usyk, but I just don't think he's got that kind of one punch power, especially as you got the levels. But this is the undercard. It's not up to much, but at the end of the day, it's not about undercard. It's about the cruiserweight division. It's about this tournament, and it's a great addition to the boxing calendar actually, because it was one thing we were looking at the cruiserweight division. They wasn't getting a lot of unifications. We haven't got a lineal champion yet. They had one since David Hay, so I think it's about time we started getting on the track and basically getting a unified champ. And this is a decent enough fight to kind of kick off with, but it's going to get juicy actually as it goes on. Kudryashov against Dorqua. Who else we got? Bredes against Perez, and who's the other one? IBF champ Gazayev against
Vladarchik against Gassiev.
Right, so it's looking really good. So hopefully cruiserweight, as everybody knows, has been a great division over the years and stuff. Good action fights, right warriors and that. So hopefully, it's going to deliver. I really do expect it to deliver this time. Actually, maybe not so much this fight. I think Usyk will basically box comfortably to a wide points win. I'd be well surprised to see Huck, a Huck of old, shall we say. Maybe when we see it kind of very, very fleetingly, but if you look at his last fight, actually, you just see against Benavidez, actually, that against a smaller guy as well, he just wasn't the same guy. So I think Usyk's got this pretty handedly.
Jack, there's a reason that Usyk's picked Huck, and in my opinion, Huck, after all the wars and all the great fights and great nights he's given us, and he's been a great servant to the sport, I think he's just about done. I actually think Usyk might stop him, but it'd be later in the 10th or 11th round. I think Usyk has such a high work rate, excuse me, for the cruiserweights that he might just wear him down, and this will be one step too many for Huck. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think this is like designed to make Usyk look good. The only real doubt is whether he stops him. The really good work that Benavidez did against Huck in the last fight was straight right over top. Obviously, Usyk out of southpaw, maybe you won't be able to land quite as flush, but yeah, I think Usyk could stop him more on like accumulation of shots and let the referee jump in.
We might not have you on again, Jack, for a while, because I know you usually work on Sunday evenings. Just briefly, do you want to give us a winner of the overall cruiserweight tournament and also a winner for the super middleweights while you're at it?
Yeah, I think Benavidez will win it. I'm a massive fan of his, and I think Usyk, perhaps the lack of power might make him unstuck when he does get to the final. So I'll go with Benavidez for that. As for the super middleweights, I think Groves has got that one. I think the lack of high quality opponents Callum Smith has had to this date might be his undoing. Certainly when he gets dragged into deep waters. So I'll go with Groves for the super middleweights.
Rob, I've spoken about Usyk before, and I don't know if he'll go up to heavyweight and become this all-encompassing destroyer. I thought the Michael Hunter fight maybe showed off a few of his deficiencies, but he's going to have too much for Huck, I would imagine, and get quite far in this tournament. Do you think that marker might last the distance? This could be one step too far?
No, I think Usyk is getting him Marco Huck at the right time now. Like, I think he's only had 12 fights, hasn't he? So he's learning on the job. But yeah, you're right. I think he's going to have too much for Huck. He might actually break him down maybe in the later rounds and stop him, but Huck probably hang in there, make it awkward for as long as he can. But I think he knows he's up against it. Like, and I don't think I could see him maybe even run out of steam a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting to see who's going to take over in that division. Like, hopefully this kind of shines more light on these guys and get to see more of them.
Gabe, finally to you. I don't think we had you on the time we were picking who we thought was going to win the cruiserweight tournament. I think I went for DODGY. I can't actually remember. I know I went for Yildirim in the super middleweight one. I've gone a bit out there. Who do you think is going to win the whole tournament, Gabe? And do you think that Usyk will get past Huck?
Yeah, Usyk definitely gets past Huck. I got DODGY too. I think as much as I'd love to see Mike fucking Perez do great in his fight with Benavidez, I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, well, I'm not saying he won't have a good fight, but I just don't see him winning that fight. And then I think I'll pick DODGY to win their side of the bracket, and then we'll have Usyk and it'll either be, well, obviously Usyk or Benavidez versus DODGY in the final for the cruiserweights. But you know what? I'm just excited about the whole damn thing. And then I'm trying to see what's going on that weekend of the fight, because that'll be down in San Antonio. So I may be able to head down there and check that one out live. It's only a few hours drive. So I really, really, really want to get down there, though. I'm so busy. I don't know if I'll be able to. And then out of the super middleweights, I don't know. I think Groves will probably come out on top of it in the end. I'm not as excited about the super middleweight tournament. I'm really excited about the cruiserweight.
Super middleweight's a lot weaker, isn't it, Gabe?
feel like it is. Yeah, I think cruiserweight was one of the first times where I actually started looking at divisions way back, and because I saw that Holyfield Kawhi fight we were talking about. So I've always been real intrigued by the cruiserweights, and I always feel like a lot of times they get fucking shafted because they're not heavyweights and they're not welterweights and they're not middleweights. They just kind of seem to get forgotten a lot of times out there, the cruiserweights. I feel like, especially in America. I mean, there's just they of recent times they just seem to be the group that's kind of forgotten about with the lower weight class guys, and so I've always been a fan of the cruiserweight guys. But yeah, I actually picked Doricos to win that cruiserweight side as well. Although I think it'll be my prediction is Usyk and Doricos in the final.
Excellent stuff, Gabe. Anybody got? Oh, I'm getting a bit of feedback there. Let me just mute our friend. Nobody wants to hear two of me. Barely even want to hear one of me. Right, let's get the belly of the weeks on the go and let's get the hell out of here. I've had enough now, Andy. What do you say?
Yeah, mate, let's go.
Right, I've only got about 4 or 5, so it shouldn't take too long. First nomination from Josh Langley for Steve Bunce. A lot of hate for Bunce, actually, after the McGregor-Mayweather card. McGregor should fight the winner of Canelo versus Triple G, says Buncey. I think he wants him to get killed or something.
Oh man, he was the ultimate slag last week, wasn't he? He even dumped the Cotto fight, and he was basically mouthing off, "Oh, it's not a real fight," but then decides to go and cover it anyway. The true slag.
I know. If they offered me to go out, Andy, I'd be exactly the same.
Yeah, me too, mate. What am I talking about?
Chris Adams has nominated Belly of the Week to Eddie Hearn on the Facebook page. Eddie Hearn actually said with a straight face in an IFL interview this week that the Chisora versus White fight was the greatest heavyweight fight he'd ever seen. #casual, says Chris Adams.
Yeah.
It's right up there. It's right up there.
Yeah, it was a decent. Oh, come on! It was a decent. it was a good fight. Let's be honest about it. But it wasn't exactly fucking Ron Lyle and George Foreman, as Matty said earlier on there, was it? Or Larry Holmes against Ken Norton. It wasn't exactly on that level.
No, not quite. But the rematch might be. You never know. Kenners has nominated Sky's Adam Smith. Sky's Adam Smith is just. Oh, I don't even. I've lost for words with that guy. He said Conor Benn is doing it the hard way. What?
Yeah.
Getting the win the hard way. Who have we got now? Boxing Banter has nominated Harry Ames. Harry said to Spencer Fearon, Spencer, who you got winning each tonight? I fancy putting down a cheeky acca. Help a fellow boxing fan out. #NextGen. Flip me, you wouldn't get much value on that card, I wouldn't have thought.
It wasn't even worth staying up for, man, for fuck's sake.
I think if you put a win on all the favourites, you'd probably be about 50p out at the end of it or something.
You end up paying the bookie even more money. Fuck's sake.
Vicky Gravel has nominated John Costello, who's Jamie Cox's trainer. John Costello said Jamie Cox is the Manny Pacquiao of the super middleweight division. I don't know. There's one for you, Rob. The Manny Pacquiao of the super middleweight division.
1,000,000%.
And finally, Aaron Marley Clark. He actually deleted this afterwards. Must have been ashamed. That Boxing Hall nominated him. Marley Clark said, just caught up on the York Hall show. So much better than that circus last weekend. And tagged in Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. The next gen was better than McGregor Mayweather. Says Mr. Clark. Right, that is all I have got. Has anybody got any nominations?
Yes, I've got the Courier Mail newspaper in Australia. Basically, they've got a Jeff Horn. They've got a picture of him throwing a jab at Manny Pacquiao with his body superimposed with a chicken on it, saying Pacquiao out. Manny hands don't make fight work. Basically saying that Manny's a chicken and a coward and that. Well, he's already come out and said that he's got government work he needs to cover too, and he's wanting to fight in the Philippines next year for a rematch. And in the same article, it says megastars who bring the bucks. Fight superstars Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor could deliver Queensland as a big economic bout as a Manny Pacquiao rematch if either agree to come to Brisbane to battle welterweight champion Jeff Horn.
It's the fight everybody wants to see, Andy. Mundine against Horn.
Oh, that fight! I seen that last night. Actually, when I saw the tweet, I had a kind of smile on my face. I mean, you know what? I read this, and the smell just slowly evaporated. I'm saying, there's fucking no way that fight's going to be. I mean, that guy was up at cruiserweight fighting the last time. Was it 6 months ago he was fighting at cruiserweight?
Aye.
He's going to come down to fight, what, 154 probably? Fucking hell.
Oh dear. Any other nominations? Anyone want to nominate Warsaw Slapheed in the chat? I'll nominate him.
Who is that Montard?
He's having a good time anyway. Welcome. He's joined us for the night. It's great to have him. Oh, Sleep99 in the chat says O'Hara Davis for his diss track. Awful. Apparently he did some diss track against Josh Taylor, wasn't he?
I heard that actually. Still talking about that. Fucking Josh took that soul, baby.
That soul's gone. Any more nominations, gentlemen?
Yeah, I got one.
Go on, Robert.
Out Jeff Horn.
Apparently, this Malinazi McGregor is a real possibility for Patrick's Day in Ireland. Rogan and Shaw were talking about it from inside information that has been floated for Patrick's Day. So we're going to see Bring Your Balls Connor versus Do Nothing.
I wish Malinazi had gone and throw himself off a bridge or something. I mean, seriously.
It's just like, what? Who wants to see what's going on? Like, come on. End this now. It could happen. Like,
I like Paulie, but Jesus Christ, this is getting fucking out of hand.
You gotta let it go. It's like single white female or fatal attraction at this stage. Like, let it go. Like, Jesus.
Jack, did you want to nominate someone? Jeff Horn, was it, or Mundine?
Just Anthony Mundine, attention seeking. Jeff Horn needs an opponent for November, and I've challenged him.
No problem. Right, I am going to go for... Who was I going to go for? Oh, yeah, I'm going to go for Sky's Adam Smith. He's just a complete melter with his Conor Ben comment. Who are you going for, Andy?
The Courier Mail. I mean, you don't diss an all-time great like that for fucking call him a chicken. You fucking serious? A chicken. The guys that he's fought, Hall of Famers, multiple-time world champion. You call him a fucking chicken because he's wanting to fight Jeff Ford next year compared to later on this year. Pricks.
Jack, who are you voting for this week?
Just give us a quick reminder, Steve. What was your two ones?
Oh, now you're putting me under pressure. Right, let's see if I can respond. We've got Steve Bunce. We have Eddie Hearn, always a good spot for Eddie. We have Sky's Adam Smith, who I'm going for. We have one of the casuals. I don't usually include them, but it's a week. So we've got Harry Ames. We've got John Costello, Jamie Cox's trainer, and we've got Aaron Marley Clark. And then we've also got the Courier Mail, who Andy mentioned.
Yeah, I'll go over Courier Mail as well.
That's two for the Courier Mail. Gabriel, who are you going for?
Probably Courier. It was either Courier or Adam.
That'll do, lovely. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, that'll do. We'll give him a unanimous decision.
Unanimous decision, right, sort of. We'll go for the Courier Mail. Congratulations. This is the greatest award that they've ever received, I think. But Anthony Mundine, he does manage to talk himself into these big fights, so you never know. Stranger things have happened. He must be about 40 years old by now, that guy. Let's have Anthony Mundine versus Danny the Green Machine Green 3, please. I'm calling it right now. Right, I'm getting to the stage of the show. I'm talking complete shit, so it's time to get out of here. Thank you to everybody who's been on the call. We've had Rob Kelly as usual. Special guest Jack Rathborne, great to hear from him. Gabe Lewis, back on the call after so many years. It's good to have Gabe with us. Andy Patterson as well. We're going to do a diss track against Tommy the Guru Allen, who's supposed to be on tonight. Hater Dave is falling off the planet, and Donny Baseball is falling off the boat. Maybe we'll get some of them on next week. We also had on, who did we have on tonight? Brian King was on. We had Matty. We had Adam Smitho-Smith. Everybody's having a great time in the chat. We're all loving life. We'll catch you all next week. Cheers, bye.
Triple G Canelo next week predictions, baby.